So, pod lovers, welcome back to another waste of your precious time. Yes, that's right. It's LiverpoolRumours.co.uk podcast time with myself, Ed666, Ed001, and last but not least, the Silver Fox and Housewife's favourite, Ed025. So it's been a while since we did our last podcast, and that's because Ed001 was having gastric band surgery, and Ed025 didn't know what the internet was, so couldn't log on to Discord. But we're here now, and that's all that matters. So how are we, lads? How much have you missed me?
I've really missed you, I'll be honest.
Such a liar. Before he signed in, you were saying how glad you were to have had the peace and quiet from him.
How's it been going? How's COVID treating you guys?
Well, it's
been good for me.
Makes
been
no
okay.
Still alive and breathing.
Yeah, it makes no difference to my life, but Billy hasn't been able to go out, so...
But I've enjoyed me.
You're the only person on the planet that's enjoyed the pandemic. It's made no difference to your life.
My mum sent me a letter she found in the paper. She took a picture of it and sent it to me, and it was basically some bloke saying about how this is great. He hated people anyway, and now he doesn't have to go out, and how wonderful it is. And all she had on the, it's on like WhatsApp, the message, and she put, put the message on it underneath it, just said, "Was this you?" the worst of it was, I wasn't actually sure if it was me or not, because it could have been.
There's two people on the planet that have enjoyed this pandemic. You and that guy. You're thriving, aren't you?
Nothing's changed.
Right.
It just means I've got an excuse now.
And you were just saying to people all over the world, welcome to my life.
yeah, you think it's bad. This is how I live all the time.
Alright, so we're going to call this our end of season pod and going to go through all the Premiership teams and promoted teams from the Championship and assess their season. I suppose we'd better start with the promoted Championship teams.
Yeah.
Right, let's do it then, guys. We'll have West Brom, I think we start with.
Okay.
Discuss.
I've got to admit, I thought they'd do a lot, they kind of got in by default rather than because they were doing well at the end there. I don't know if you watched any of the Championship, but they seemed like they were doing their best to drop out of the promotion.
I thought Brentford were going to pip them.
Yeah.
At once.
Yeah, Brentford were going strong, weren't they? What was that guy, the Algerian winger they got?
Ben Rama.
Brentwood? What?
Yeah. Brentwood? Isn't that a prison? Show him where your thoughts are, eh? That's the areas of London you know well, is it?
So how do we feel West Brom's going to do in the Premiership?
Not very well.
No,
You'll be going right back down again.
Unless they spend well.
Nobody's got any money.
You don't have to spend lots. You just have to spend well. The right players for your team and the way you're going to play. If you look at the teams that did well, Burnley, they didn't spend a lot of money. That isn't why they stayed up. Whereas some of the teams that spent quite a bit of money struggled. You know what I mean? It's not about spending lots. It's about buying the right players to suit the way you want to play.
Yeah, I get you. And also, I mean, Slaven Bilic knows all about bargain basement signings as well, doesn't he? Because
he used to play for Everton. Sorry, you mean because he managed West Ham, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I like Slaven.
Yeah, I like Bilic.
I did until when he went down holding his face, remember? What would happen? Hadn't he been kicked in the stomach or something, knocked in the stomach or something, and he went down holding his face to get someone sent off in the World Cup?
He done a Grealish.
No, he wasn't drunk at the time, so it can't have been Grealish. Have you seen that's now going to be a new adjective on the site, isn't it?
My problem with West Brom is that I don't I can't name a player who had wants my side to sign from them. And that's why I think they'll struggle. I don't think they've got anything about them that's going to keep them up. And I don't like to say that about
You
any
do
team.
realise you're an Everton fan and not a Liverpool fan, don't you?
I certainly do, yeah.
just checking. When you said that, I was a bit worried you were getting mixed up on which team you were supporting.
Talking about mixed allegiances, that poster on the site was rooting for Man United in the European Cup final.
We
Bayern
won't even
Munich.
mention it.
You're a Liverpool fan.
Because they've got Charlie Austin and that, haven't they? Still.
Yeah, but
he's awful. And he's got...
Just someone you'd want in your team or in your squad. I can't see him myself.
I was just thinking who's they got. I was just having a look through their squad. That's what I was just doing. So let's see if I could think of anyone. Garner maybe, but isn't he on loan?
Do they still get all that money from the the Premiership for going up because
they get
of the pandemic?
They won't get as much as they did, I think. I think it's lowered the amount coming out. I mean, Lee Peltier plays for them. He's leaving, isn't he? He's gone. I was just looking. They're
going to have to buy
Gareth Barry.
I don't think they got much about them, to be honest with you. I like Bilic, but I can't see unless they bought a lot of decent players. I'm not talking about big players. I'm talking about just decent Premiership players. I can't see how they're going to survive.
Yeah, I was looking at their squads, and I don't see anything in that of quality.
No.
Yeah,
not a Premier League quality.
Yeah, I think you're right, Billy. They're a sure bet to go back down.
Yeah, they'd be my favourites to go down.
All right, let's move on to.
So what do they need to? What do they need to buy? Lots. They need a full team. Is what we basically saying.
Pretty much 5, 6, 7 players. Yeah.
5 or 6 players who are and decent players who are going to work as a team like Sheffield United did this.
Oh yeah, you can't. They've been fantastic, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Right. Let's move on to Leeds United. Super interesting.
I love Bielsa. You know that.
Yeah. There's so many interesting permutations. The rivalry with United, Bielsa. They've got some cracking players also. I think they'll do well in the Premiership. I think they won't go down for sure.
And they've got good youth team players to fill in gaps. The problem they have is their best centre-back was Ben White on loan from Brighton. That might be a problem.
How long's that loan for?
It was for the season.
You rate him, don't you, Tristan?
Well, at times he was fantastic. He did have a spell where he got a bit carried away and tried to do too much on the ball and tried to show how great he was. But once he settled down, he went back to being brilliant again. Yeah, he's at Championship level, he was fantastic, absolutely outstanding. So now he's got to step up and show he's good enough in the Prem as well.
But we've seen him against Arsenal in the Cup, and they really looked a really good side, a strong unit, probably due to Bielsa, but they've got some good players as well. Hernandez is a good player. They've got some really good players for me.
And they've got some youngsters coming through, like Strike or something his name is. The he's a centre-back, so maybe he'll replace Ben White next season and they'll be okay, I don't know.
But I'd like to see them do well as well. I think they're a big club and I think they deserve a good shot at the Premiership. And I think they'll give it a good shot.
It's not that I care one way or the other about Leeds, because it's like, other than Liverpool, everybody, it's just, I don't really, nobody else really matters other than Liverpool, in my opinion, to me. Other than what they've got, there's something, if they've got something about, I want to see them do well. And for me, it's Bielsa. Absolutely love him. It's one of my all-time heroes of football, so I really want to see them do well because I want to see him do well. Prove me right after I've been talking him up for all these years. Has everybody else gone? Or are they just leaving me to rave on about Bielsa? I think I'm just left on my own again. Has the internet gone off? Do I need to pause it? I think the internet's... No, it says it's connected. They've just gone quiet. Great. So I'm going to pause this for a second. Saying how great Gyosa is. Oh,
All right.
He said it 20 times. I think you remember it now by heart now.
Yeah, he's, I think he's going to be a breath of fresh air to the Premiership, Bielsa.
I love him. I mean, he's got some... I mean, the youngsters there, apart from that strike I was saying about, they've also got... what's his name? Shackleton.
Yeah.
Bogush. Gotts is supposed to be good as well, highly rated. Tyler Roberts.
Yeah, Tyler Roberts, such a good player, actually.
And if they can get Jack Harris, is he? Because he was on loan. I'm not sure if he's still on loan. But that Poveda, that was the one I was trying to think of. They bought off Man City last season. He just started to break into team. What a player he looks.
I think they've got a lot about them, Leeds. And I think they'll do well. I don't want to put jinx on them, but I think they're going to do...
I think a lot depends on Hernandez, for me.
Yeah, he's a very good player.
Yeah, and he's 35 now, so you know this is his last chance back in the Prem, isn't it? So
I cannot wait for their games against Man United. They are gonna be tasty. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Well,
that makes
it depends. Is there going to be any fans there?
True.
Well, I'm thinking the games against Chelsea will be quite tasty as well, considering Frank Lampard was the whiny little moany get who moaned about they spying. Remember? Hey, they spied on me. They were watching what I was doing. Hey. I mean, so that was just embarrassing. The whole that flap about that. Who cares? Everybody tries to watch what everybody else is doing. Liverpool used to, what people go and watch Liverpool train all the time.
And Rodgers used to let them know the team. Rodgers used to let them know the team before the game.
Yeah,
when they said the bid,
do you remember he couldn't figure out how people were realising what the team was before the game, and he had them in different coloured bibs. Oh, just what a moron. Yeah, they had one team was in red bibs and the other team would be in yellow bibs, wasn't it? It was red and yellow. Yeah. And the team that was going to play were in red bibs, so it was easy. Yeah. It's like, oh, God. Brendan Rodgers, the brain of Britain. Oh.
Well, we'll get to him later. But so you think he'll stay and he's not Barcelona bound, Bielsa?
Wow.
I think he's safe for the immediate future.
He's one of those men that, unless they shaft him, point of principle, he walks out. He'll stay a while, I think. He's been wanting to prove himself in the Prem for ages, so this is his chance, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I hope he does.
And the only thing Whoa, what happened then?
I'm still here.
No, it's just Abid's went really odd. I think he's probably getting told off by the missus. He's trying to cover the mic up. That's what it is.
We're eating all the melon.
Yeah. But I think with Leeds, the only thing they really need is someone to cover for Hernandez.
Yeah, but I think they will. I think players will want to go there as well to work on the Bielsa. I think he's that well respected.
Who, if it was you were an agent or it's parent of a player, you'd be telling them go and play for him. You'll learn, you'll learn so much.
Yeah, and everyone's got good things. Pep and all them have all said what a good player is,
Guardiola's talked him up so much that he's set himself up. He's set a high bar for him now, and if he flops badly, it's going to be embarrassing for a lot of people.
I really hope we do well.
Yeah, I think he will. So should we move on to Norwich now? Because Abid's busy eating his watermelon.
Right.
I'm listening, mate.
He's doing his ding, 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 ding on his little, on his... What's that thing? Because he's Deliverance country now, isn't he?
Can you hear me, guys?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
What was I going to say to you? So you think Bielsa's staying and people will go and sign for him because he's Bielsa, the magician?
Yeah.
Or
Very much
Bielsa,
so.
whichever.
What was his record? Didn't he take Chile to 2 Copa Americas or what?
2 World Cups,
And
you mean?
what was it?
2 World Cups when they'd been really poor, and he had like the team was rubbish, and he just built up a proper team and turned them into the team that later went on to win the Copa America.
No, what's the Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He was at Argentina before. That's where I know and first knew about him. He's just mad. He's mad as a marcher, but brilliant.
And didn't Pep take his guidance? He once upon a time.
Yeah,
Pep Guardiola.
Pep's considered a Bielsa. He's caught between a Bielsa disciple and a Cruyff disciple. He's those two are the two he looks up to most in football.
So we're looking at Norwich. I mean, we're looking at Leeds being well placed in the Prem next season. Do you think they'll do as well? Do you think they'll do as well as Sheffield United, lads?
I think they will.
They'll be up there with that. I mean, there's going to be quite a few teams battling in the mid-table, to be honest, isn't there? But I think they'll be one of them.
Yeah, I'd suspect that as well.
Here's a pertinent question. Do you think James Milner will go to Leeds?
Good question. He just signed a 2-year deal. Otherwise, I'd have said possibly. But after that, I think he's decided no.
But maybe that's for us to get a transfer fee for him.
I would hope if he wanted to go back home to Leeds, we wouldn't ask for one.
Why?
Yeah.
Because that's how we always used to reward players who've done great service for us. You don't ask for a transfer fee so they can get the move of their choice.
But we're skint. It's a pandemic. If we can get 10 million for him, they're not going to say no to that. What's more important?
You're not going to get 10 million for a 35-year-old.
I don't know. I think he might get. I'd pay 10 million for James Milner.
But you're an Everton fan. You've seen how bad your side policy is.
You pay 35 million for him.
Yeah, well, he's better than the Iwobi, to be fair, and they spent that on him.
I know.
Right. And Theo Walcott, how much did you spend on him? So excuse us if we won't take your advice on transfer spending.
It wasn't me who made the decisions on them, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but still, you're tarred with the same brush now, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but when Milner signed that contract, that's not a consideration.
No, they were already virtually up at the time.
I don't know. I think
they were pretty much up when he signed the contract, so I'm pretty sure that's been signed, as in he's sat down and thought about whether he's want to go back to Leeds and decided he's happy where he is. I mean, why would you go when you got a chance to win the Premier League again and a shot at the Champions League again? And
I would suggest he's got one season left in him, max, at a good level, at this level. So I would have thought he'd want to go to his Boytown club while he's got some. He's still got an engine. He wouldn't want to go there just to.
Yeah, but at Liverpool
retire.
He can play. In between, get plenty of game time because there's going to be so many games, and he's got a chance of winning more trophies.
Here's my take on it. James Milner will be the next Leeds manager after Bielsa.
It might when he goes into coaching.
Bielsa will go after 1 or 2 years, and James Milner will be the manager of Leeds United.
That's why I feel he should go to then he should go to Leeds now, have Bielsa as a teacher.
Yeah, but you don't want to go. Well, you either go as a player or a coach. You don't go as both because that's when people struggle, is when they swap over. You know what I mean? They go from being a player at a club and then they're still working with them. You know what I mean? It's difficult.
He's still a good player, isn't he? Still a very valued member of the Liverpool squad.
Oh, he's an excellent player still.
He is still a very good player. But I think he will end up at Leeds as the manager. That's just what my
Well,
thought.
there's a prediction. How much do you win gambling, Bill? As usual, just an idea on football. Before we I just wonder whether we should take your advice and go and stick a fiver on it or not.
Stick a fiver on it. You do no wrong.
I won't. I'll take my chances and miss out on this opportunity.
So no to James Milner going back to Leeds this season.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, guys. Let's get up to the Premiership then. So bottom to the top. Let's start with it's obviously Norwich City.
Yeah.
I had real high hopes. They gave us a super tough game. First game of the season.
Well,
they beat. Sorry. They beat City. Yeah.
At City, I mean.
Yeah, and I really like their manager. They play some lovely football at times. I don't know how they went down.
Because
I really don't.
They just seem to give up. We were discussing this before, weren't we, Bill, while we were waiting for them?
Yeah, we were, yeah.
And we just think they gave up. They just sort of it was like they stopped pressing and tried to just play football rather than fighting. And, you have to fight for the chance to play football, don't you?
I think they've got the experience of going down there. They know next time they come up, and I think they will be up soon. I think they'll know what they're not going to do next time.
I think one thing they're not short of at Norwich is experience of going down, to be fair.
Yeah.
They've done it quite a fair bit in recent years.
Fair play to them.
Despite Delia's speeches.
I would just say they plan to go down. Because it's not as if they seem to give it a good go in the end or were fighting tooth and nail. It's as though halfway through the season they just were resigned to the fact that they were going down. And
it was really odd because it wasn't what you expect from Farke. You expected him to have a go at it, don't you? And he just didn't seem to do so.
I think he did. I think the players or the higher up at the club decided, we're going down. We've got to make provisions for next season rather than this season. That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, they did.
At the end, certainly.
They got some good players, but
he's a good player.
They just stopped turning up, though, didn't they? All of them.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to their team? I mean, are they going to be cherry-picked, those players?
No,
Hernandez,
cherries, mate.
Well, sorry?
Norwich are Canaries. It's Bournemouth that's the cherries.
No, they're going to be... I just got that, yeah. You just got work on your banter, Trish. That's all it is.
It's the audience I've got. Unfortunately, they're not very intelligent, and I need to lower my sights a bit.
Or that you're not very funny.
Well, that could be have an effect, yeah.
So you think they're going to... Go on, Billy.
I think Cantwell will go to someone bigger. He'll be back in the Premiership this season, I think.
Yeah, you've got Max Aarons. You've got the guy on the other side.
Jamal
What's his
Lewis.
name? He's good as well.
Ben Godfrey.
Godfrey's got a good reputation.
The one I think will go is Buendia. I think he'll be the one somebody will snap at. One of the bottom, somebody like Newcastle will come in and buy him, or Palace or someone like that. And I think they'll hang on. Players like Cantwell and that, I think the whole point is they're going to try and hang on to them and build around them.
They will try,
come back up. I think that's the plan, is build around them. These young
I don't think so.
But I think their whole team was summed up by Pucky, who started off really well. Good player. This is a bit of a player, goal scorer. And you see him against Liverpool, the first game of the season, you thought, this is a tasty little player here. And he just tailed off. He couldn't get in the side at the end. And that seemed to sum up Norwich for me.
After the restart, they were even worse as well. It just looked like they completely...
Just give up.
Yeah. It's odd, because if we look at some of the players that I mean, they were complaining about in the media, some of the comments were that they're missing a lot of players. But when you look at the players they were missing, I mean, Grant Anthony, I know he's their captain, but let's be honest, he's not Premier League quality. He's crap.
No.
I know the ones they were missing weren't ones that you'd normally want to, that you'd think they need to be in the team. So I didn't see I don't understand what happened to them.
To be fair, mate, you're right, because after the restart, they played like they had COVID.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah.
They were
that's,
awful, right?
That's typical of the Norwich way. They've been up before and they've done the same. And I wondered whether it's a part of the greater plan. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no bite to them, was there? There's no bite. There's no nastiness to them. They're just a nice team, nice club, nice area.
But they've got a real problem because when you look at they haven't got. You were saying about a striker, they really have. They were relying on him to get the goals, and they've got nobody else.
Nobody else scores goals, no.
Yeah. And you look to probably their key player in midfield was Tetty, and he's 34. So how long's he got left?
Yeah, he's a decent player now, Tetty. I like him.
Yeah, he's just getting old. That's the only problem.
Yeah.
I disagree with you guys. I think they're going to be cherry picked. I think 4 or 5 players will go from there, and I think they're going to have to start again.
All right.
I don't think they'll sell many. I think that was the whole point, is just to get the money together to hold on to them, and they will sell if it's ridiculous money, because obviously they can't help. They can't afford not to, but. I don't think
they do get a decent parachute payment, don't they? So they might hold on to a good few of them. Right?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think they'll be all right.
But I also feel in this pandemic that you're not going to get the big money transfers. The middle, the lower, like the 15, 20 millions, I think there's going to be a lot of them. And I think a lot of their players are in that bracket.
That's fair comments. Yeah, very
But I
fair
think
comments.
they'll want more than that before they'll sell, because they've got enough money from being in the Premier League and not spending big. I think they're going to be looking at getting 30, 40 million or sod it. We're not selling them.
No, I don't think any of their players are worth that. I mean, I'm not sure Cantwell's worth that. I'm not sure Godfrey's worth that. Bruneda, baby. Aarons is a player. I think Bayern Munich are looking at him, aren't they?
Bayern Munich.
I don't know whether he'll go there. He's good enough to go there, but he does seem a decent kid.
He is a player, Bill. He is a player.
Fantastic. Both of them, but they didn't show it for most of the season, unfortunately.
No, they didn't.
But that doesn't mean that they put them in a better team, that they won't be great.
Yeah, I think they're better than they were showing at Norwich.
Sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, let's move on to Watford, who are also down. That's a weird one, isn't it?
Is it Norwich? Isn't it thingy next? What? Oh yes.
No,
Watford. Sorry. Did you... Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I've just realised you said Watford.
Yeah, that's they're a weird situation that is down there.
The sacking of Pearson was ridiculous.
2 games ago, what inspired that decision?
But I mean, listen, he's a hothead. They've got Italian owners who are.
There was no.
Totally
This is the
hothead.
thing. If you ask any of the players, are absolutely shocked by it, and they didn't know. There was no, as far as they're aware, there was no sign of it coming. There was no problems in the dressing room. The players loved Nigel Pearson, were happy working with him, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the owners just decided to get rid of him.
Yeah, but they had a big argument too.
No, they didn't. That's not true.
Apparently,
That was
Pearson.
only reported in tabloid newspapers, and everybody has denied it. Everybody.
So why get rid of him then?
That's
That's
what
what we
can't figure out.
There must have been a personal situation, because you just don't get rid of your manager.
The Potsos do. Yeah, the Potsos do. This is what they do all the time. They've gone through 4 this season.
They looked as though they were down, didn't they? After the first half of the season, they were 7 points adrift.
Mess,
Wherever it was. He come in, and I thought he'd done an amazing job, and he got them up to
the first win against Liverpool. I mean, what can you tell? You can't sack the manager that's done that when you're bottom of the table, can you?
It was so strange a decision. I just couldn't. I don't know where that came from.
You don't do something like that unless, I mean, I don't know, but you don't make such a bold move, such a damaging move without something happening. You just don't wake up and say, right, I'm sacking my manager for nothing.
No,
You just don't do it. I mean, this is gazillions of pounds we're talking about, going down, losing the Premiership standing. I don't know that's crazy.
And they have got some good players.
Far too many good players to be going down, but they've got problems there. I mean, they constantly have problems with injury, and fitness problems. Every single season they've been having that since they've been in the Premier League. There's clearly a problem at the club with the fitness training because that's not done by the managers.
Right.
So they've clearly got a problem with that because it's players constantly injured all the time.
Yeah.
And the recruitment's dodgy because nobody knows who actually belongs to that club and who belongs to Udinese.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dodgy things. For me, to be honest, I'm glad they've gone down because they've deserved it. I like some of their players. Yeah. I've got nothing against the fans. I don't actually know any Watford fans to have anything against them. But as the way they run, I just don't like. They seem everything they seem to do seems to be about seems to be a bit when you look at it you think something not right there.
Yeah.
Now let's they've got
recruit well though. To be fair,
they've got some great players. I mean, you've got Decore, Capoue, you've got Star.
I think really good player, Decore, and the centre forward. You can't fault Deeney, can you, for his efforts and what a good person he is as well.
Leader.
Yeah, he was great for them.
And Ismaila Sarr, sorry. He stood out.
Is he, how good is Ismaila Sarr?
He's only 22, remember. He's only young. He's very raw. But at times he's sensational. They've still got Jerome Sinclair on their books. Do you remember him?
What, the Liverpool player?
Used to be Liverpool player, yeah.
Liverpool player?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's gone well for himself, hasn't he?
Oh, my God.
Can't get in there. He keeps getting loaned out because he's got a real bad attitude, hasn't he? And the other one, Danny. I mean, why did they buy Danny Welbeck? Bizarre, but yeah. But
he scored against Arsenal, didn't he, the other day?
Yeah, but he's always injured, so why buy him? Yeah. That's what I mean. Exactly. It doesn't matter if he's brilliant. What's the point if he's on the injury table? Pointless.
They'll get picked off as well with their players. Some of those players
definitely
too good for the
Decore.
Yeah. You remember about a year ago, Capoue and Decore were they were superb players.
Yeah, they really did. They worked well together. But for some reason, they were playing Decore behind the striker for the second half of the season. I don't know what that was about.
Decore couldn't score if his life depended on it. He's such a bad goal. He can't hit a.
He's not creative either. He's a up and down box to box midfielder. You want him in the centre of midfield where he can get break up play and get forward and support it.
Yeah. He cannot finish though. Finish for the life.
No, but you don't need to when you're as good as him in the middle of the midfield.
Yeah, but you'd play him where he's best. That was one of the problems they had for me, is put him too far forward and you're missing half his game.
Yeah,
especially when you've got players like Will Hughes who are supposed to be better at goal scoring and that. Why would you play them behind him? It makes no sense.
Was he meant to be coming to Liverpool once upon a time? Will Hughes?
Yeah, when he was a kid.
At Derby, he was at Derby, wasn't
he? Yes. He was associated with a lot of teams who were looking at him, but he ended up going to Watford.
I think he had a bad injury, didn't he? And it set him back. If I remember rightly, he had a bad injury, and then people stopped watching him after that. Because he was out for a year, and then when he came back, Watford took a chance on him.
Yeah.
So, guys, what do you think? They come straight back up, or are they going to struggle?
They're going to struggle because they're going to lose. They're going to lose quite a few players, I reckon.
Yeah, I think so, Bill. You're right.
They won't have any loyalty from many of them players, will they? I mean, if even Troy Deeney said he's not sure if he wants to stay,
No.
then of all the players that you'd say probably will stay, it'll be him. And if he's saying it, you can't think anybody else will.
Do you think do you think it'd be an idea to give him the terms he wants for him to stay? Because he is that club, really, isn't he, Troy Deeney? He is what
manages the club, but if he doesn't want to be there, the way he's talking, he doesn't want to be there, and I think he'll go. I think Troy Deeney will go, and I think someone will pay pretty decent money for him.
Where do you, at 32 years of age, I mean, where do you think Troy
and he
Deeney
doesn't score goals, so I don't know if anybody would pay good money. That's the thing, is
where would Troy Deeney go? I don't think
Arsenal. Could you imagine that? Oh,
No,
that'd be brilliant. That would be brilliant if they signed him. He'd give him some cojones, wouldn't he?
I honestly think, in my opinion, I think Troy Deeney would be better off improving his terms at Watford and staying there until he retires, because I just think that's the natural place for him. He'll score goals there. It's his environment. I just don't think it... I mean, I don't think he'll go anywhere else, to be honest with you. I think he'll stay.
I personally think he'll be off, but there you go.
There you go. Right. Shall we... and you think that... What? Shall we... Let's go to Bournemouth next.
Yep.
Right. Where do we start with Bournemouth, eh?
You start with the manager, Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
Possibly the most overrated manager in world football right now.
I think he's very well liked, but I don't think he's the best manager for the Cherries.
He's got no idea how to organise a defence, has he? Let's be honest.
I think he does okay. I think he's a good man manager, but the transfers at Bournemouth, I'm not sure whether he has anything to do with it, but they've been absolute.
No, he did. He handed over responsibility. He admitted he was terrible at the recruitment side of it. He handed over responsibility either last summer or the summer before. So, and that's why to be fair, they've improved a lot with Jefferson Lerma, Phil Billing. They've been good, decent signings there. Lloyd Kelly looks a good player.
Is he the left-sided central defender?
Left back. And David Brooks as well came in after he gave up. The mistake they made was bringing in players like Harry Wilson in the summer.
And all the Liverpool players they bought, Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. All the Liverpool, they haven't learned their lesson. They're bringing in, they're bringing in players that don't work hard enough.
Yeah.
And when you're in a position Bournemouth are in, the first thing you should be looking at is a player that's going to give 110% and run himself into the ground.
And not a free kick specialist.
Yeah, well, a free kick specialist is fine. It's useful if he works hard, because you've got to get into the position to win a free kick, haven't you, in the first place?
Yeah.
That was all that was my big beef about Wilson. I think he's quite a talented kid.
Brilliant player, but
I don't think he works hard enough at
lazy.
All. He's not involved in the game for like 75% of the game. He goes missing.
Well,
and I think better.
When he was a youngster, he broke through too early. At like 15, and he got himself in the Wales squad and all that. And everybody's talking about how he's the new Ryan Giggs and all that, and it just seemed to go to his head.
Yeah.
And I mean, he hasn't even slept with his sister-in-law yet, so I don't know where they got this. He's the new Ryan Giggs from.
They've got money, so I think they'll come back straight. I think they'll come straight back up.
Do you think Eddie Howe will still be manager next season?
I don't know. I don't. I think he'll be Palace manager.
I know you said he's a good man manager, Bill, but do you not
Yeah.
think that that's clearly can't be that good? Because look at the mess they got themselves into with Ryan Fraser's contract and that.
Yeah, but he doesn't deal with that.
Yeah,
He's-
well, he still has to get the
He
the
comes
player
back
playing,
football, doesn't he?
and he couldn't get him playing. He was awful this season.
Yeah,
He is a
Ryan-
media darling, and they all love him. Everyone loves Eddie Howe because he's got a good personality and he is good with people. I just don't think he's the best manager for Bournemouth.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, a great manager doesn't have to be liked. He doesn't have to be nice.
No,
He just has
I'm
to
not
get
saying-
the best out of the players. And I just watched their team, and players like Ryan Fraser, I'm not a big fan of. Honestly, he's not my favourite. I don't think he's a great player, but last season he was abysmal, and he's definitely not abysmal.
No,
Yeah, but he's just down tools because he was doing a Busman, wasn't he? Or was that David Brooks?
David Brooks was out injured. Ryan Fraser was the one who, his contract was coming to an end, and he wanted to leave, and they wouldn't let him go.
Yeah,
But,
so
that's happened in plenty of players. I mean, to be fair to Brendan Rodgers, he managed to get Luis Suarez playing when Luis Suarez didn't get the move he wanted, and so that's one of the key things in management is you have to be able to get performances out of players who don't want to be there. Sometimes
I don't think, with all due respect to Suarez and Roger, I don't think that was Rodgers.
I know, but he still managed to. You know what I mean? I'm just saying he didn't stop him playing. Is what I should
he's a
say.
bit too nice.
I just think that's a false statement, mate. I just think Suarez is one of those players that he got upset for a bit and he thought, "Screw you, I'm going to show you." I mean, he would have done that anyway. He's just a footballer's footballer.
But at least he didn't stop. But he didn't that. He didn't get in his head and ruin it for him. You know what I mean? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The outside, for a manager, he hasn't got that ruthless streak.
Exactly, being too nice can be a problem.
And he never had a bad word said, and you never see him getting angry or agitated.
Yeah.
Do you not think though? When this is what I was trying to say. I think that being too nice was the problem because Ryan Fraser needed someone to just kick him up the arse and say, "Look, you want your move? Turn out for the season. You'll get a big free. You're going to be going at the end of the season. You'll go on a free transfer. You can make yourself a fortune if you perform."
Yeah.
And instead, he's still whatever he's done hasn't worked. You know what I mean?
Lads, here's a question for you: is Eddie Howe a Premiership standard manager?
No,
Not for me.
not even close.
Fair enough.
It's only because Bournemouth were well backed with money that he got them up in the first place, in my opinion. And it wouldn't have been, if he hadn't done it, it'd have been somebody else. It's not here. It's not like with Leeds, where they were they were a team that really, if you'd looked at their play when Bielsa stepped in, the team standard was lower half table, maybe top, just about half. He turned them into a side that just well above the rest of the Championship because of his qualities as a coach. Eddie Howe didn't. He took a team that and spent money and had backing.
So where does Eddie Howe go now? Does he stick or twist? And if he twists, is it another Championship side or will he get a Premiership team? Even though you don't think he's deserving of it.
He's been linked with a few jobs, and I don't think people are going to take a chance on him. But that's just my personal view.
I got a sneaky feeling he's going to get.
He failed when he left them before, badly. So I can't see where he can go. Where he's, who's going to want to take another chance on him?
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to the team that survived by the hairs of their chinny chin. Aston Villa.
Yeah, didn't they just?
Whoa, yeah.
If it hadn't been for Grealish's diving and that chalked off goal.
Well, it was 1 point, wasn't it? It was 1 point and 2 goals they survived by. Dean Smith and John Terry.
Yeah, you got to wonder. They can't. They're another team that. I mean, they improved in the restart, but the first half of the season, their defending was hopeless, and that was what cost them.
Yeah, I have to say, Aston Villa bore me incessantly. I have no interest in them whatsoever.
They've got a few good players, haven't they, though? They have got, and as much as Triss hates Jack Grealish, I don't like him as a person, but he's a very talented young footballer.
I struggle. I've got to admit, I struggle to watch them simply because of Grealish. Because every time you watch him, he'll foul someone and then throw himself to the ground and get a free kick for it, and you're thinking, "Hang on, you just kicked him. How is that your foul?" Or somebody will go within a mile of him and he'll be on the floor rolling around in agony, and he'll get a free kick for it, and he's, and that's why I can't stay.
You've got to be epidemic ego, so because he kept them in with shout. To be honest with you,
I don't think he did. I think the difference was the biggest improvement was Douglas Luiz, the guy they got from Man City. Yeah. I think he turned up, but he suddenly realised that hang on, I'm playing for my future here. Because if these go down without Trace, I'm not going to get a big money. I'm not going to get anybody else coming in for me. I'm a bit of a, nobody knows who I am like. So he stepped up and he started performing as he should do, and that was the biggest difference for me rather than Grealish. I mean, Grealish after the restart was awful. I know he was carrying an injury.
But he scored some important goals for them, though.
But he was abysmal for 90% of the game. And when you're a team that's struggling, you need your players to turn up for the full match.
Is Grealish a top 4 player?
No.
No, not for me. No, not for me.
But you were saying about finding them boring. By the way, I got a lot of Egyptian friends, so they talk about. It's not just Trezeguet, El Ghazi and El Mohammadi, all Egyptians. Yeah. So I hear about them constantly.
They're no good though.
Well, no. El Mohammadi did all right in the set when he got back in at right back. He was actually did really well for him. Surprised me because I'm not a big fan of his, but he can deliver the ball and he can defend okay. You know what I mean? He's a decent Premier League lower half right back. Not a good winger, but a right back. He's a good. He's got good quality. He's 32, so he probably needs a rest every so often.
There's only one Egyptian in the Premiership for me, mate.
Only one worth having, yeah. Are we talking about Trezeguet here? Yeah. I mean, how did he get the name Trezeguet? They say he plays like him. Have they actually ever seen him play football, or did they only ever see him play for France when he was awful?
Is his name by deed poll Trezeguet?
No, that's just his nickname. It's a bit like like a Brazilian. I forget what his actual name is. It's not his name, no, not at all.
Oh, gotcha.
Mahmoud Ahmed Ibrahim Hassan. See, it's easy to remember, so I don't know why he uses Trezeguet.
So I think they'll struggle a little bit next season as well, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't see anything in them that's going to make me think that they're going to be strong in next season.
They can't spend the same as they did last season either, can they? They can't do it again. They just can't afford it, surely. No. I mean, they've got the problem is they bought badly. Tyrone Mings, he's just not good enough. I don't know why people rave about him. Just don't get it. McGinn's a good player, but he's just so out of shape. He always looks like he's like Jan Mulby build. He's so overweight and he struggles with mobility and he's knackered after 15 minutes.
People rate him so highly.
I think he's got something about him.
Oh, he's a good player, but he's just so out of shape that that he's not able to get in the game enough. That's what I mean. Rather than I don't rate him as a player. And that Wesley looked like he might have something. He was just starting to show something before he got injured. They might have a chance of staying up again at least. But
I don't think so. I think the manager's too wishy-washy as well. I think they'd have to get rid of him, to be honest with you. If they are going to stay up. I don't think he's going to keep them up.
I think he might be a weak link. He doesn't really play he doesn't seem to have any tactical knowledge. And
No, he's too wishy-washy for me.
I'm not convinced John Terry's helping much either.
No.
I think he's just there for the name as a big name.
Yeah, I'd say that.
And I think that's not the right way to go with coaching staff. You're better off having ones that didn't do well because they tend to have a better idea about how to improve than players
and they
like
have more
Terry.
desire and hunger probably as well.
Terry was just a good player, so he knew, you know what I mean? He didn't have to work that hard on improving his skills to be better. It was natural to him. He played the way he played naturally, so I'm not sure what he can have to offer. You want a player that's had to work their back, had to learn how to be better. You'd have
thought him being a stellar defender, he could do something with that defence, right?
That it doesn't always work. It's usually a bit poacher-turned gamekeeper, where the defensive-minded players tend to work better with attackers because they know how to deal with the defences better.
Right.
I can see that.
Look at George Graham. He was an attacking midfielder, very attack-minded player, but probably the best defensive coach we've ever, the game's ever seen.
True. All right, let's gloss over Villa because they bore me. Next is West Ham because with
the Moisire.
Moisey.
Yeah, with the Moisire.
Because I win.
Billy will be getting all teary-eyed and God.
Yeah, nostalgic.
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking.
Nauseous it is.
You'd have him back tomorrow, Billy.
I wouldn't, honestly. I didn't like him at the first spell, never mind the second one.
I got to admit, I did want them to go down. Yeah.
Board manager and most of the players.
I can't stand their board. I can't stand those two. The Paul Barons and Karen Brady are just hateful people. You just can't not. How can you not hate them? It's impossible, isn't it?
I mean, people are dying. There's a worldwide pandemic, and as soon as the Premiership got cancelled, she's in the media saying it should be null and void. I mean, within a day or two.
Yeah, just keep your mouth shut, love. She just loves the sound of her own voice. That woman.
No regard for humanity. No. You know what I mean? There's no class. There's no grace. Straight away, just look after your own. We want it null and void.
Yeah.
There's more things to life than football sometimes. There's people's health at risk. People's lives are at risk. People's jobs are at risk. Look at those frontline workers sacrificing their lives.
Yeah, but she don't care because she's rich, so she doesn't give a toss.
It was disgusting.
This is the woman who sold the man she later married just because they had an argument. Yeah, when they were at Birmingham City together, he was playing for Birmingham City and they had an argument, so she sold him within hours.
Jeez, what a...
And he still married her later on. I mean, what's up?
That's more about him than it says about her, to be honest.
Yeah,
I wanted my chance to really go down.
To be fair, though, Moyes has done well, has improved them as a team.
What, by 5 points?
No, I'm not talking about the points. I'm talking about the way the performances they put in and the way the players played. They improved under him. I've got to say that. I'm not his biggest fan, but he's pulled them together and made them play.
True. Antonio being case in point, he can't stop scoring.
Yeah, no. Where did that come from? I mean, he's just he's one of the clumsiest players you'll ever see. He just blunders through. You watch him and you think, how is he beating 4 players there? Because he's got no control over the ball. He's falling over over his own feet, and yet he's put it in the back of the net doing so. And you're thinking, how? He doesn't know what he's doing himself.
They've got to buy big. If they want to survive next year, they've got to buy big.
I'm not convinced. I think they've got a good few. I think they've got players like Bowen will improve. He's only 23.
I like Bowen.
Where did that Souček come on? Did he play well at the end?
Yeah, and they've bought him. They've got him. He's only 25, so he's got a bit to come on. Declan Rice, 21, so he'll improve.
He won't play.
That right back, Ben Johnson. The thing they lack is they do need a left back because Creswell's crap.
And what's his name?
Noble's got to go.
Yeah, well, he's on his. He's 33. He's on his last legs, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got to go.
33. I thought he was older than that.
No, they've still got Jack Wilshere as well to come in. Remember?
Oh yeah. Jack Wilshere, yeah, he's got to come in.
So they've always got him like a new signing for next season. So that was what Arsene Wenger used to say every year, wasn't it? He'll be like a new signing when he comes back to fitness.
I think that. Do you think Rice will stay? Won't he want to be with his mate at Chelsea, Mason Mount?
Do you think Chelsea will come in for him? No, I'm not convinced. I think they're
he might go
centre back, and if he was playing centre back every week, I think they'd move for him because I think he'll be just as good in defence as he is in midfield, and he's a fantastic player. But
well, they reckon that the reason why they want to buy him is because he's multifaceted and he can play in midfield and defence equally as good.
Yeah, I mean they do need a
defender.
I think
he can go to United, you know, and replace.
No, I think he wants to go to Chelsea.
Yeah, I know he wants to go to Chelsea. I think he might go to United and replace Nemanja Matic. That's what I think.
I don't think he'll move in the summer, personally. I think he'll wait. Unless Chelsea come in for him, I think he'll stay there for another year at least.
All right. I was just thinking where I think he'd be best suited, and I think he'd be best suited at Man United.
I can see that.
But I think he's got ambition and he wants to win things, so there's no point in going there to play for Ole, is there?
How did he keep his job? Well, we'll get to that in a bit, but Jesus.
Yeah, but I think West Ham will be all right, to be honest. The only issue they've got is they need to start looking to replace Fabianski. He's 35 and he's suffering injury problems.
And to be fair, a goalkeeper isn't that hard to replace.
I don't know. You ask Chelsea, it can be quite difficult.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think you can replace it. You can get a decent keeper. There's lots of decent keepers about. Obviously, there's not many world-class ones, but there's lots of decent ones about.
Yeah, but they do need one. That's the major thing, is because he's starting to suffer injuries, and that was when they struggled the most, was when he was out injured and they brought in that Roberto. What was he? He's like somebody had won a competition. Do you think that was what happened?
5 games.
Yeah, we'll give you a contract if you win this. Apply for it. He's come in. He's not thought. They haven't thought he wasn't intended to play. Like, he was just there for the crack. Like,
well, they can always get Joe Hart back.
Oh God. Yeah. They may as well put Fabianski on the bench, on the team on crutches, as put Hart in.
Yeah, exactly.
I know Billy loves Joe Hart, don't you, Bill? You rate him.
I'm not a big fan of Joe Hart ever.
You used to love him. You used to always tell me when I used to criticise him, you'd say, "Oh no, I think he's a good keeper."
Yeah, I know I did. Yeah.
Hey, so there's Yarmolenko as well, isn't there? They've got.
Yeah.
He's wishy-washy as well, though, isn't he?
But he can be mercurial on his day.
He's the super sub. He just comes on and does well. I put him in the side, and he's hopeless.
Yeah, he flatters to deceive. He'll have 1 great game in 10, probably.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah.
And you mentioned Anderson as well. He's a player as well, but he's inconsistent as well.
Lazy. That's the problem.
Yeah, he could be really good.
Yeah, when he can be bothered.
Yeah.
Far too often he can't be bothered, and that's where it all goes wrong.
So mid-table obscurity for West Ham next season?
I think so. I think they'll stay up fine.
I think in the bottom 5.
Okay.
Not to go down, but in the bottom 5.
Fair
Even
enough,
though
mate.
they've got the Moisés.
Even though they've got the Moisés, yeah.
Wow.
Will they have
Because
the
they've got the
Moisaya?
Moisaya.
Will they have the Moisaya because they're looking to sell up, right? And a new consortium or a new owners might have different ideas.
Yeah, but that'll be a while away, won't it? If they sell it, even if they started now, it takes months. This is what people forget. Like I keep having to say on the sites about the Man City one. People think it happened overnight because they brought in Robinho and that, remember? But they brought him in as a good faith down payment on the sale.
Right.
And it actually didn't complete until the January transfer, the next transfer window, so about 6 months down the line before they got it finished.
Yeah, but Gary Cook was saying, the CEO at the time, that they tried buying lots of players, but nobody wanted to come because before the Robinho transfer, because they didn't believe in the project. It was just too new.
Well, that's because nobody knew what they were going to do.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But eventually money talks, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Robinho's a greedy little get.
Well, to be fair, I wouldn't have turned that down. I don't think most people would have done.
Well, no, I certainly wouldn't, but I'm not a footballer who's already a multi-millionaire, so...
I mean, Kaka turned it down, but not many would have done. Shall we move on to Brighton in 15th place?
Sounds good.
Right. Shall we start with Adam Lallana, or shall we start with the manager?
Start with Potter.
What's that,
I think he's done really well, Potter, there, and I think he's a decent manager. He's not the strongest manager, but he got them playing good football, and I thought they were going to really struggle and would be in the bottom three. But to be fair to him, he turned them round, and I think they played really well.
He's a slow burner of a manager as well, judging by his play. He gradually, constantly improves, year on year when he works with players. So they should be even stronger next season. They haven't bought too badly as well. I was quite impressed with Webster.
Yeah. I thought they played well.
And they've got that Ben White to come back.
Yeah. I think they'll do all right. I think they'll survive next year.
What did you think of Lamptey? I thought good player but terrible defender.
He's
the right back. Is that the right back?
Yeah, the young right back. I don't think he's a right back in a million years. He's definitely
a short
he's a midfielder.
Guy.
He's a midfielder all day long because he can play football brilliantly, but defending he was hopeless. He's all over the shop. We destroyed him down his sides when we played them.
If you ever look at if you visualize a football Premiership manager, Potter is not what that looks like. I tell you, he looks like a bank manager or something.
He does look a bit wishy-washy and
nondescript. Yeah,
nondescript. Brilliant description of him.
Yeah, fair play to him, though, man. Good for him.
It's the results that count, and I thought he'd done really well. I didn't know much about him before he come.
No, me neither.
Well, I'd done a profile on him for the manager's profile when he was at before. Before
that famous team. What's it?
I forget which team. I can't remember whether it was before he joined. Before he came into English football or just after. I was really impressed with him, so I'd spent a bit of time reading up on him before then. Anyway, so what he tries to do is he tries to create a family atmosphere.
Yeah.
He made the players do things like put on performances of Swan Lake and that when he was out in was it Sweden, wasn't it? Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got them doing things getting them out of their comfort zone. It taught them things like good balance and that doing the ballet as well, but it was also a bit of fun, and it was brought them together, made them and increased their confidence and that, and the team got better all the time. I think
they played good football. Don't you think they played good football? Well, they played from the back. They weren't hitting outside.
And they believe in him. The owners believe in him. They gave him a big new contract.
Yeah.
Even when they were struggling, they give him a new contract. So That's
And
a
if you
big
can
help.
attract players like Adam Lallana, all power to them. I hope they do all right. I hope they do well.
Did he manage Swansea, or was it Cardiff or something?
Swansea. They got him from
Swansea,
Swansea. That was where he
Didn't he
came
get
to.
he took over from Gary Monk, right? Or was that
Oh, I can't
no?
remember
Or
whether it
before?
was Monk. I think Monk had long
I
gone.
think
Okay,
I think there'd been a few in between. Monk had been
gotcha.
off to Leeds and all sorts, hadn't he, since?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh my God, I've just seen a picture of Salah with his haircut. He's just. Have you seen that?
Is this what passes God? We're gonna have. It's like celebrity culture here now, isn't it? Hey, Salah's haircuts is now the conversation, and what does Graham Potter look like? I mean, this isn't really football, is it, mate?
This is like
Talk
keeping up
about
with the
lowbrow.
Kardashians.
God's sake!
Oh, just have
Oh God!
just
This
have a look at Salah's
dragging
hair.
it down into the gutter, you are, hey?
That is hilarious. Oh my God, look at that! I've just sent it to you.
Oh, good. I'll look forward to receiving that. Oh, great.
So let's talk Adam Lallana
Oh,
and
he's got
Brighton.
your haircut. He's copied you.
Oh well, he's only human, mate. They all idolise me. Oh my God, look at that hair! I can't believe he's had that done. Who cut it? His daughter.
Probably, actually. I wouldn't surprise me, bless him.
Oh,
His
did you see her?
Yeah, she's lovely, and she's adorable.
gorgeous.
She just
She's
want to
so
adopt
cute.
her. And she gets
What
a
a-
bigger cheer than him when she's at this every time.
The confidence, though, at the end of last season to do what she did, like kick the goal, score at the Cop,
Yeah.
and again she did. Oh,
Yeah.
amazing!
You gotta love kids, they're great. But anyway, Brighton, we were talking about
Yeah.
Brighton and your favourite player, Lallana.
Brighton.
I know you're going to now be torn on supporting them at times.
Oh yeah, that's my second team now.
I always rated that Pascal Gross. I know he's not. He's one of those players that doesn't seem to be doing that much, but his delivery is just so precise. His crossing and his passing is just so precise. He's excellent.
He was linked to us. I remember.
Yeah, I think that's because he was German rather than because we were ever interested, mate. Because I've never known any interest. I've got to say, what I do think of with Potter is Basuma was really good, but what I was going to say is Moy. At Huddersfield, he never impressed me. He always looked a bit like he was out of his depth in the Premier League. But since joining Brighton, he's come on leaps and bounds.
And a mate of mine told me to look at him. He played in Australia. My mate was out there.
Yeah, Melbourne City, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That's how he ended up here, because Man City.
This lad will do well before he comes to English football. Oh, he was on the verge of coming. And I used to watch him at Huddersfield, and I thought he was their best player by a
Yeah,
good
but
one.
he was in the Championship and in the Premier, but they were never quite a Premier League quality team, were they? Let's be honest. And he always looked like he wasn't quite good enough for the Premier League. Too good for the Championship, but not quite good enough for the Premier League. I always thought.
I thought he was good enough to be in the Premier League.
I think he definitely is now. This season, he's been really good for them. But I think that's down to the way Potter's has improved him for me.
I think he's a good player.
Yeah, he's impressed me this season. But that Basuma is the one I really like of theirs.
Yeah, he looks good.
And I've been really excited. I've been waiting to see that McAllister play for so long because I've heard so much about him. Because he's Scottish. They reckon is. I reckon. Well, probably his dad was over there watching the Scottish Scotland in the World Cup and never went home. Because his dad's Scottish, isn't he?
It's not Gary McAllister, is it?
No. But like when you see an Argentinian named Mac Allister, because it's not McAllister, it's Mac Allister, you just think, oh come on, are you sure he's not Scottish? And it turns out he is.
Somebody's had a one night stand 20 years ago.
Definitely the World Cup, that is.
Yeah. Should we talk about Lallana?
How do we think Brighton are going to do next year? Do you expect them to stay up?
With
I do.
Lallana and that, I think they'll do well.
I don't think they'll come in the top 8, to be honest with you.
I suppose it depends on what you call well. I think they'll do
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
That's the question, isn't it? Is what do you call well for Brighton?
Yeah. Between
Everyone's talking about Lallana.
15 to 10 is
Yeah,
doing
that's
well.
where I'd put them.
Yeah, that's where I'd put them.
They've gone out and paid all, well, not all this money, but it'll be a massive signing on fee and lots of weekly wage salary. But it's a 32-year-old injury-prone player. They can't be putting all their eggs in one basket.
To be fair, Brighton are very well funded. They're another team with a backer who's got money. So I don't think they're short of a bob or two, mate.
I don't know. I just think I just don't think you can. He's not a franchise quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, where you can put all your eggs in one basket.
If I knew what that meant, if I knew what you were talking about, I might agree with you. But they're not short of a few players. Like I said, they've got decent defence if they get rid of Duncan Duffy. I'm not keen on Duffy, especially. He's an awful player. But they've got.
I don't get Duffy, man. He's a hard-working lad.
Abysmal.
He's not great.
He's like Harry Maguire, a slower, less intelligent brother. That's what he is. But they've got some decent players. I mean, they've got a good midfield.
Yerry Mina.
No,
I'd count him with Yerry Mina.
He's similar to Yerry Mina, really tall. So you'd think he'd be great in the air, but that's it. Because that's it. That's their only ability. Is they can sometimes have their head in the way of headers.
Getting back to Lallana, do we think he's on that much money and he's going to have that big a signing fee? I don't personally think he is.
No,
I think he's got there. He wanted to go there.
Yeah, he wanted to go back down south, and they've sold him.
And that suits him. I don't think money's his motivation.
No, because he could have waited, seeing who came in for him, if he was just about
money.
This wasn't about money. This was about playing for a team that he wanted to go back down south, and he wanted to play for Potter.
And he's got a guaranteed coaching role at the end of it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't think it's about the money. I don't think it's a big payday, or he's going to get a decent money and a signing on fee. But I don't think it's going to be out there and massive. I think he's gone because he wanted to go down south, and he picked Brighton because I think they're a good club, and I think he'll do well.
I don't think he'll
play every week.
He's not on less than 75 a week. That's for sure.
I think you'd be surprised.
I don't know. I think he might be on about 50, but that's just a figure I'm taking out there. But I don't think he'll be winning that
much. No, he's not that kind of. I just don't. He's not really a money-driven man. He's one of those. He loves the game. He's always played for the game. I mean, he could have left Southampton years before he did if he was all about money.
Did you see the passionate interview he gave, where he was talking about Jordan Henderson and his time at Liverpool? It was on Sky.
But they're busy, to be fair, so, it's kind of like, I was going to say you talking about me, but I meant like if you actually like me.
It was a really emotional interview. And he come across as a really nice person as well as a decent footballer.
He always did, Lallana. Apart from we went through one phase where it seemed to go through his head at Southampton when he was when he was in the England squad and all that. There was one point where it seemed to go to his head, but now he's got back on his feet. Back to. He's level-headed again. He seems like a nice lad. He don't drink. He don't cause trouble. Drinks hard. But the only thing is, he must be a bit strange because he goes out to Miami all the time. I mean, what kind of loser goes to Miami? I mean, do you know anybody that would consider going there? Do you, Bill?
Only one person.
Yeah,
I
he's
can
a bit
think
of a
of.
knob, isn't he?
Right, moving swiftly on to another ex-Liverpool man, Roy Hodgson at Crystal Palace. They finished 14th. They did really well.
Well, only in the first, before the restart. After the restart, they were awful. They just slipped down.
I mean, I don't want to talk about Roy Hodgson more than I have to, but because he brings back a piece of me died when he was Liverpool manager. But But geez, man, he's like taking Palace to 14th at 78 years of age. Fair play to him.
But they were awful in the second half. They should have been in the top half, really, the way they played in the first half. But you can't say that like you're ever gonna sit there and tell me you've enjoyed watching them play.
Not at all. But this is a man that by right shouldn't even be. He should be retired by now, and he's in the Premiership taking a team to 14th place. I mean, I was going
to say the team he supported as a boy, but I'm not sure they were even in existence when he was a boy.
Fair play to him. He's done well there, Ron. He's done well.
And I mean, when you've got Mohamedou Sakho as one of your defenders, you can understand why the team struggles.
I think he's a good person as well.
They missed Tompkins in the second half. That was the thing for me. I think they missed him badly.
Yeah. Who? Tompkins.
James Tompkins. He's been
fantastic. The West Ham guy, ex-West Ham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think. I know people rave about what Cahill did there, but I don't think he was that good. I mean, some of his challenges are hideous.
He's liability.
Quite a few times you watch him and you think, how has he stayed on the pitch for that challenge? And that's a regular occurrence with him. He's a bit of a thug, to say the least. It's just like he's 5 seconds after the game's gone by, isn't he now?
Yeah, I remember him manhandling Salah a few times when we played him.
He's always, but Tompkins has been magnificent for them. He really is their key. And Milivojevic was good in the first half.
Good penalty taker, that guy.
Yeah, free kick taker as well. Good delivery.
Yeah. Who's the?
I quite like, but he just never seemed to get a game.
And they need to sort this Zaha situation out.
No, they just need a striker. That's what they need.
Well, they need to get rid of Zaha just once and for all, because that really is a burden for them. They just need to get rid of him, because it's every season. It's like, just get rid of him. Just get your much money.
This one I don't understand. What's the big hassle about getting rid of him? He's not that good. I know he gets most of their most of their wins come when he's on the pitch, but that's because the rest of their team just constantly give him the ball, and he doesn't help them. He stands and watches for the rest of the game unless somebody gives him the ball. He doesn't go and win it back. He doesn't track. He doesn't do anything.
Well, let's ask Billy, right? Billy, let's be honest. Who would you prefer, Iwobi or Zaha?
Zaha.
Ooh.
There you go. See, so it's. I mean,
he's a good player. I really think he's a good player.
He's got the potential to be very good if he was coached right. If he was coached right, I think he'd be a really good player. But he isn't. I mean,
I think skill, having skill and ability, is a totally different thing from being able to actually play good football. To be effective as a player, and his effect seems to come to basically from when he moans about being fouled when he wasn't and gets a free kick for it. That's it. That's all his use is. If
he's got a bit of an attitude about him as well, which I'm not happy with.
Horrible way he acts. I don't mean he's a horrible lad as in off the pitch. I mean on the pitch he's horrible.
But guys, listen, right? In his formative years, the two coaches that he's had have been defensive coaches, Hodgson and Moyes, right? So you give him somebody with some talent. Maybe he has something. You can unearth something. Clearly, there's ability there.
He hasn't got 60 million talent about him, has he?
It's
been bandied around.
Yeah, you're right, Billy. You're right.
I don't think he's got the intelligence on the pitch. He might be an intelligent lad off it, but on the pitch, he hasn't got the intelligence to play well.
That's what I'm saying. He needs somebody to coach him. I know it might be a little bit That may be a silly thing to say that he's a Premiership player and needs coaching, but somebody's, one of the top 4, 5, 6 coaches.
I don't think he's got anything. I don't think he's got the intelligence to understand. It's a bit like that Oliver Burke, who years ago was went to Germany, and everyone thought he was going to be a superstar. And when he got out there, loads of potential, loads of pace, hard working, strong as an ox, great technique. The problem was he was absolute moron, and he couldn't understand what they were telling him to do. He couldn't follow his instructions.
I get
and
your
I
point,
think
Tristan.
Sahar's a bit the same, where he's got it's him. He's got it all about him now. He's become so much about Sahar
this is my point.
that it wouldn't matter who he played for. I don't think he'd listen. I don't think he'd learn. I think he's too late. He's 27 years old. It's too late.
I'm not sure, but if he left the ego at the door, right, somebody could actually tutor him, like the Wolves manager, somebody like the Wolves manager, right? I think he'd get something out of him.
But there's a bit of a difference. Traore, everybody knew he was a nice lad. He just struggled to understand instructions because he's not particularly bright. Sahar, with him, he's just lacks football intelligence and has a huge ego and doesn't listen.
Yes.
He thinks he's better than he is. He thinks he's the great player already. Bit like there's a lot of players like that, and that's how they end up falling down to play teams like Crystal Palace in the first place.
I think he thinks he's better than Crystal Palace.
Yeah, and he's not.
And he might do better at a club where he wasn't the focus of attention. I think there's a player in there, and I think he would do well with a better side.
Whereas I think he'd be shown up as being the average winger that he is if he got to a team where he wasn't the centre of attention, like at Manchester United, where he just looked out where he couldn't do anything.
I think he's above average. I don't think he had the best time at United.
Because he isn't good enough. It was that simple, in my opinion. I'm always going to think that because that's what I see whenever I watch him on the pitch. Does the same things, runs into blind alleys.
I think a player in there
constantly.
I would wager that Billy, you'd have him at Everton.
Absolutely, I would, yeah.
Yeah, but that's we're talking about we're talking about still mid-table mediocrity, aren't we? There, so
yeah.
It's still not really, you know what I mean. Whereas I'm talking about is he good enough to go any higher? Because let's face it, Everton, Crystal Palace are in about the same position at the moment.
Who plays higher?
No, they're not meaning to be offensive, Bill, but I'm saying they're in the same sort of mid-bottom, mid.
I agree with that, yeah.
Second half, bottom half of the table. That's what I was trying to say. Where were you? 12th. God, yeah. When I said that, I wasn't. I had to check. I wasn't sure then. Jeez.
All right, guys, let's move on.
They need a striker anyway, Palace. If they're to have any chance of doing any more, they need to
replace the man.
Well, I mean, the lamppost up front, but obviously is hard to replace. But they're going to need to at some point.
They paid £32 million for him.
We can't laugh. We can't laugh at that, mate. We can't laugh at that.
We did as well.
I know, and we spent 35 million on Andy Carroll, so we cannot laugh at somebody spending ridiculous money on a crap striker.
Listen, I just started supporting Liverpool since last season, so I have no idea what you're talking about. Right, yeah, they do need a striker, mate, but I mean...
Someone to score goals.
Where will they finish next year?
If they don't get a striker, they're going to struggle to stay up.
I'm saying between 14th and 12th.
Because all their players are aging. And remember, they're going to have a less of a break this summer. They're not going to have the same rest. Players are going to, they're not going to have the same energy. They're all aging. They've got very little in the way of youth. Their youngest player, isn't it, Max? Is it Max Myers? Their youngest actual first team regular.
Oh, he's been a sensational letdown.
24.
Oh, he's been really poor. Really poor.
Awful.
And he's in on a lot of money a week as well. I think he's on 100 plus.
So many people were raving about him before he came over.
Oh my God, he's been awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
But yeah, I mean, it's just nothing about them. You can see them. Personally, I think because of the lack of rest in between aging players, I think they're going to struggle next season unless they get somebody to score goals for them. I mean, McCarthy's always injured.
And who's the winger? The guy on the right-hand side?
Dross Townsend.
Yes, that's it. Townsend.
Yeah, not a player for
Lives
me.
up to his name, him, doesn't he, old Dross?
Yeah. I like the fullback, though. Who's the fullback?
You're going to say Van Arnold, aren't you?
Yeah, Van Arnold.
It's
Yeah,
a shame he can't defend.
The Dutch guy.
Yeah, but he's a player, like.
Going forward, but awful defender.
Yeah, he's not the greatest defender, but he's a good player.
What did they spend the Wan-Bissaka money on? Alcohol.
Yeah.
Maybe it was treatment to keep Roy Hodgson going.
Yeah, I mean, with defibrillator or something.
Yeah, equipment. Emergency equipment in case he struggles. Like, you know what I mean?
Chemicals.
I can't think what else. Yeah, anti-aging creams and that.
I don't think he'll stay. To be honest with you, they can't get another season out of him.
Who, Hodgson? He won't leave until he's carried out, mate. This is the team he supports. You know what I mean? This team he grew up supporting. This is what he's always wanted.
Yeah, for the next couple of years.
He'll carry on until he literally has to go. So, it'll be like if God forbid, like, bless him, he has some similar problems, say Bob Paisley, when he had to go because it started to affect him mentally, at the end of his time. Things like that, that'll be the only way Hodgson will go. Can't see them sacking him. I mean, they'd have to be mad.
Why? Why would you be mad to sack Roy Hodgson?
Because he's the only reason they're where they are. I mean, look at their team. There's nothing in there to suggest that that's good enough to stay in the Premier League.
Fair enough. I'd look to the future. I'd look to bring youth in. I'd look to put a blueprint down for the future, man. Because you don't have that with Roy Hodgson. You're treading water year after year, kind of thing.
But your Crystal Palace, that's all you can do. Isn't that about the best you can hope for, to tread water in mid-table of the Premier League when you're Crystal Palace? They haven't got the money or the size of fan base to do any more than that, except all it's going to do is end up biting them in the backside, and they'll drop down the leagues if they tried to push the boat out. Like,
I mean, they survived by 8 points. It's not that much. It's 2 wins and 2 draws.
Yeah,
or 3 wins.
That's still quite a lot in this day, in the Premier League, isn't it?
I wonder if they're not having the support, because their support's fantastic, And I wonder if that affected the players, and that's why they went downhill at the end of last season.
I think partly it's the age of the players, and they were playing lots of games, and then with one defeat, they didn't have time to recover. You know what I mean? And the players were all tired because they had lots of injuries, remember? They'd lost James Tompkins, was the big key thing. As I said earlier, they were losing. And then, they were already over the line. They didn't have anything to play for. They had 40 points. They didn't need to, they were already safe from relegation. They had nothing to play for, really. So I think that was the problem, is they just didn't have that extra motivation of fighting to avoid relegation or chasing a European place. They had nothing left in their season.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yes,
and they're all old men, like so.
I have a personal reason for not wanting Roy Hodgson in the Premiership, because every time I see him, those 6 months that he was at Liverpool, it just.
Are you sure it's not just because it's like looking in the mirror and he looks so like you?
He's got my hairstyle for sure.
He's got the same age as you as well, isn't he?
Fair play to him, yeah. But in all seriousness, he's done so well for them. But I still think I would look to move him on if I was a chairman.
Because I just don't see where they're going to go if they get rid of him. I don't see how they can improve. They're Crystal Palace. They've got nothing to attract players.
Well, we'll just have to see what happens, mate. All right, guys, let's move on to the team that finished 13th. Which is Newcastle United, and there's only the main talking point here is the takeover, I suppose.
Well, first off, I just want to point out something. Constantly in the media, they go on about how well Steve Bruce did because he got more points than Rafa Benitez, and he did better than Rafa Benitez. But I just want to point out he had a lot more money to spend than Rafa Benitez ever had. So, I think that should be taken into account before people claim that like he did a much better job than Rafa Benitez. And that's not a dig at Steve Bruce, because I like him. I think comes across as a brilliant guy. Like,
but he also had Rafa Benitez foundations that Rafa laid
exactly
to work on as well.
And then they brought in players like Sam Maximan, what's his face, the Joe Linton. They spent 40 million on. I mean, I know he wasn't good, but that's not the point, is it? They spent the money on players for him.
Right, yes.
Which Rafa couldn't get him to do.
Well, Rafa said no to Joe Linton. He said he's not a £30 million player.
He didn't want to spend it on him because he thought it was crap.
Yeah, well, he's been vindicated.
Yeah, I don't think we can argue Rafa obviously his stuff.
And I'm still thinking, what's happening with this takeover? You're from that part of the world. Is it going to happen?
Like I said from the start, I just don't see how they can allow it to happen, considering it's Saudi Arabia as a nation that's really doing the takeover, and there's so many problems at the moment with them. I just think they'll find a way to block it.
Who will block it?
The Premier League. They'll find a way to block it through the fit and proper person test, I think. Because
do you think Ashley really wants to get rid of it?
Yeah, I think he's getting the money he wants. He wants to get rid.
It's just come down to money for Ashley. If they're offering enough, and they are offering enough. What's her face has been in I forget her name. Amanda Stavely has been trying to convince him to sell for years now. She's been trying to broker a deal to sell it sell it to her, to someone she represents for years. She's finally got someone to pay the money he's been asking all along. This is the big thing, is that he's finally got someone to pay the money he's been asking all along to make it worthwhile him selling. And they can't get it to go over the line because nobody wants to let the deal go through because of who it is.
Well, that's why I'm skeptical about whether he does really want to let, until he gets
he doesn't give a shit,
extortionate price.
Yeah, and he's got the money he wanted.
And he's getting free advertising, he's getting...
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah, but
does Mike actually really want to sell? That's what I'm asking.
But Billy, he'll have in that contract when him selling, he'll have an advertising situation.
There'll be clauses to make sure he keeps selling.
Yeah.
Or there'll be enough money paid that it doesn't matter if he doesn't have it.
Yeah, he ain't stupid. He ain't dumb. He's a very, very savvy businessman.
Yeah.
Savvy. And also, there's that... Did you hear about that? Well, I think it was, what's his name? It's an American guy called Henry Morris or something that are in the waiting in the wings if the Saudi takeover.
There's lots of people that have been trying, but none of the others have paid the money.
Well, the Henry Morris guy, he's actually said, "I'll give you $350 for it." What they're offering you, and guess who's leading that consortium? You'll never guess.
Come on,
Henry Morris.
Kamoli.
Oh, not Damien Kamoli. Oh, God.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I fear for Newcastle if he's involved, because that guy is...
Can you imagine?
Oh, snake oil salesman, that is. Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
He'll be recruiting the players. Oh. There'll be 20 more Joe Lintons by the end of the year.
He made some real bad buys. I mean, he made some corkers, didn't he?
And it's when he tries to claim the credit for anybody that does work out, like Gareth Bale. I mean, at Spurs, he tries to claim the credit. That's what he dines out on, and Luis Suarez at Liverpool and stuff. But he neglects to mention that
35 others.
Well, it's not just that. It's that what he suggested them for wasn't the role they actually could play. Luis Suarez, he suggested as a winger for Liverpool. Gareth Bale as a fullback for Spurs, and he was, neither could play that. Were that good at the role he thought they would play.
But the caveat to all this is that he did bring Michael Edwards to the club. Again, in not the role that he's in now, in a different role.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have a, he doesn't have a clue, does he?
So where do we think that they're going to end up?
Well, the
Newcastle?
problem
Well, it
Newcastle have
depends
got
on
is,
it depends who buys them, or if they sell.
yeah, and more to the point, what happens with the long staffs?
Yeah,
I think that's a key thing because that'll rip the heart out of the club if they go.
I don't think you're going to get
I know
anywhere
they're
with
not. I know they're not being played that many games lately because of the fallout over the contracts. But they are really, they're local lads who are probably the only decent players that are coming through the academy at the moment.
You know what I think, guys? I think they do really well if this sale goes through, to bring Rafa back and give him a 5-year contract and then let him do some damage. Because I think that would be, because they love him up there. The fans love him up there. He's a long-term strategist. He's a long-term blueprint manager. And I think that would be the way forward. I'd get rid of Steve Bruce. I mean, he's a nice guy, obviously, but you need to look at the good of the club and the future.
But you've got to remember, he did bring in Danny Rose. I think that says it all, really, doesn't it? Danny Rose, he doesn't even like playing football. Just moans.
No club's going anywhere.
Permanent transfer. Was it a loan or a permanent transfer?
But it's to be made permanent, I believe.
Oh my God!
But no club's going anywhere with Steve Bruce as your manager, Hardy. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, he's just not quite. I mean, he's done well there this season, but you can't see them going any further.
You're not going to win nothing with Steve Bruce. He's never going to win anything, is he?
Yeah, they're not going to take it any further. And with the Newcastle, the support they've got, they should be, in the top half of the table every season.
I think so.
Fantastic support. Fantastic support.
Yeah.
Well, it's not
amazing.
I'm not talking about like how good it is. I'm talking about how many there are. The money they pay for shirts, etc., merchandise, and that. There's no excuse for them to ever be anywhere but up in the top half, really.
Yeah.
So I think we're all agreed that it's dependent on whether they get whoever buys them or doesn't buy them. That's where they'll end up next year.
If they don't get a buyer, they're going to be in the bottom.
Yeah, they were
15th to 18th.
They're going to they'll be in the bottom half. Can't see them going anywhere further, can you?
No, not with what they've got at the moment. No.
Really?
Yes.
It's the moment you've been waiting for, my friend. It's on to position 12 in the Premiership standings.
The magnificent 12.
The People's
Did you get a trophy for that?
We should.
Your 12th place trophy.
Oh God.
It's easy for you to laugh because you've won everything this season.
It's just easy to laugh because we've got you here to laugh at. That's it is.
Fuck.
Everton.
You know how much points? I can't even count that much. 5, 6, 7, 8. Bloody hell! How many points you finished behind us?
To be fair, if it's more than 5, you struggle to count because you can only count on one hand. Because after that, you struggle to point at it with your finger, your other finger. You need to to point with. So you're struggling.
Is that 50 points you were behind us?
Oh God. Yeah. They were more than doubled their score. Let's put it that way.
Oh my God! 50 points behind us. You were. I didn't even know what to say. I'm flabbergasted.
We're in transition.
If only it'd leave you speechless.
That's a ridiculous stat.
They've had a poor season.
Bad recruitment again, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much.
You've had a poor season, Billy.
It is a poor season.
I mean, the signing players like Iwobi and Delph, you were never going to really go anywhere, were you?
No.
Let's be honest. That was a mistake, a big mistake.
It's been Everton's bugbear over the recent history of buying poor quality players. and paying good money for them as well.
It's not so much that you've bought bad players if you'd bought them on the cheap, but you're paying big money for them. It's ridiculous.
I know.
I mean, why buy Delph when you've got... I mean, not being funny, but you've got Beningame and Gordon who could do the role just as well. Why buy Delph?
That's exactly what I thought the supporters think. But
Billy, what you're doing wrong.
We created a monster because we can't get rid of them players now because they're not going to go to anyone else and do away with the wage that they're getting at Everton.
Oh my God, you've still got Tosin on the books as well. And Sandro. And Sandro. And Balassi.
I know we have, yeah.
And
Balassi's
Besic.
in Turkey, though. Balassi's in Turkey.
No, he's
only on loan.
He's only on loan. He's come back. He was
only on loan at Turkey.
He was at Porto.
Oh, sorry, Porto. That's right.
Not
yeah.
Porto. Sporting. Sorry.
Sporting. He was there. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Sporting. Not Porto.
Oh
sorry.
my God! You've got Tosin and Balassi still on the books.
And Sandro Ramirez. I mean, what a player he was.
I thought he was going to be great. You know, I was bigging him up all pre-season. This is one of the best buys ever for Everton.
Have you still got Pickford?
I made the mistake of bigging up that Gabamin. The first thing he did was get injured. I was like, for God's sake. I'd be really looking forward to seeing him.
Billy, have you still got Gylfi and Pickford?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Star men. They're star men. They're what the team's built around.
Oh my God, you've got some real
problems.
How are you going to get rid of them? You're going to have to just pay him off and start again.
That's exactly what's going to have to happen with the likes of Sigurdsson.
Sorry. I was just going to say, you've got some good youth to build around. Holgate, Branthwaite.
Calvert-Lewin.
I think, he's all right. He just needs to learn how to score goals, doesn't he? And stay on his feet rather than throwing himself to the ground. When you're a big brute of a centre-forward like him, he should never go down because he should be frightening opponents into bouncing off him rather than.
To be fair, I think he's done all right, you know.
Yeah, he's done well. He's
improving, which he had to.
Better.
But his finishing's got to get better.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's going to get replaced.
But I think Gordon, Beningame, you've got some good players there. I know you're not keen on Davies, but I think he's just having a bit of a tough patch because of his age. They go through this, up until the early 20s tends to be a tough patch if they've emerged young.
And I'm desperate for him to do well. A young lad, from local lad, and
he's got fire in his
belly. Well. He has got fire in his belly. He's got no strength in his legs.
I think he'll come good.
Billy, what would you do to make Everton a force again? What would be your blueprint? Pardon the pun.
Start again. Get rid and start again, even if it meant you bringing the youth in.
What about the top?
I think that's what you should be doing, is building around that youth. You've got some excellent, the more I'm looking at
we have got good youth.
You've got a really good platform there.
Is it Brands?
Who?
He's done an awful job, hasn't he? He was meant to be the Messiah.
Who?
Brands has had a problem because Mashiri has been getting these advisors giving him advice that has been wrong, totally wrong, telling him to buy players when he shouldn't buy players. And he's been bypassed a bit, Brands. But now it's been sorted out, apparently. And Brands and Ancelotti are together on things. And Mashiri's been cut out of all the transfer dealings, is what I believe at the moment.
So Mashiri was getting involved because he was providing the money, or
absolutely he was, and he was getting advised by people from outside the club on who to buy and when to buy, and it just went wrong. But he was the owner.
What about Ancelotti? Do you think he's the right man to build?
Good question.
Because he's never done that.
I did. I really hope he will be. I think his record speaks for itself.
But he's never built a team. He's always taken over the best team in the league he's in. Always.
Yeah.
And he's never done anything like this. So
I know, but he's never had the opportunity because he's always
Yeah.
gone to the bigger, better clubs. But he seemed to want this appointment, and I was very happy for him to take it.
well, of course he did, because
I don't think he's made the great
money.
piece of start.
It's just money. That's all he's interested in these days, and a job for his
Yeah.
son.
Yeah, I can see
On the
that. But
fitness stuff.
I think he could be the right man. He could be the right man. I'm not saying he's definitely the right man, but he is a top quality
Have
manager.
you seen good
But-
signs? Is what I'm trying to say. Is what I was trying to get at from what he's done so far.
No, I'm not happy with what he's done because
No.
he's been playing players, and Beningham's been on the bench and not used or been left out the squad, and he's playing players like Sigurdsson, Davis. He was playing Schneiderlin every week, and they just weren't doing it. So, and the supporters are so frustrated at that. Bring the youth in if they're not doing it. Get rid of these players.
That's what's worried me about watching him. I thought, because obviously you can't really judge him on what he's done before because he's never been in this position. But you're watching him and he's constantly sticking with Sigurdsson, and you're thinking he's been dreadful. At what point do you not say, okay, it's time to look for somebody else to play that role?
Absolutely.
Iwobi keeps getting games, and yet he threw a stroke. Okay, I'm not Bernard's biggest fan, but he tries. You never watch him and think, oh, he's a lazy, get him. What's he do? Why didn't he track back? He gives
he's
his
not
all.
lazy, Bernard.
But he gets dropped for Iwobi because he has a bit of a tantrum, and I'm thinking, no, he had a tantrum because that showed he cared, if anything, for me. And I think whereas Iwobi just looks like he can't be asked. He just looks like he keeps thinking, yeah, but my uncle's JJ Okocha, so why do I need to try? Doesn't he? He just looks like that's what's going through his head every time he gets, he's on the pitch.
But we've saddled ourselves with a lot of very, very average or below average players, and we can't get rid of them. And it's going to be a long-term thing, this, for Everton. It's not going to happen in the next 2-3 years, I don't think, that we're going to be challenging up to the top 6. I think we're going to be 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th, down to 12th, like we were this year, because I can't see us improving.
Yeah, you
quickly.
think you'll be in the same sort of boat next season then?
Yeah, I really do. And I think we might get a few players, actually, but you can't. The whole side needs an overhaul. We need a new keeper. I think everyone knows we need a new keeper. We do. We need a new keeper.
I think that's one thing nobody would disagree with. Even Jordan Pickford would probably have to. I'd say he'd hold his hand up and admit it, but nobody would notice if he put his hand up.
But our biggest problem is midfield.
You've been linked with Immobile, though, haven't you, Billy? Today, I think.
Been linked with who?
Immobile.
Immobile.
Well, the others are immobile, so I don't know why we shouldn't go for him as well.
He's one of those players where he scores goal, but no matter how many times you watch him, you always think, I don't understand how he gets so many goals, because he just never looks like a good player. And he'll come away from a game, he'll have had a hat-trick, and you'll have watched it and thought, God, he's crap him. And then you look at it and think, he scored 3 goals. How did he do that? It was awful. I mean, he'll just...
He's top scorer in Serie A.
Yeah, I know, but you watch him, honestly, you watch him play, and you'll think, God, he's awful. He really is, and yet he scored... it doesn't make sense, honestly. See, you're linked with Alan as well from Napoli, who I think you should buy. He'd be excellent in midfield. That's who Chelsea should have bought rather than Jorginho, I thought. Alan, and I said that on their site at the time. So it's not like I'm speaking with hindsight.
He's been heavily linked with us,
Brazilian. I like him. Getting on a bit now though at 29. It might be a bit late, really.
But anything's going to be an improvement, isn't it? To what we have got, because we've got nothing.
He does the work and all that, so he's the kind of player that I think you need, and obviously keeper and defender.
We've got no one who sticks the foot in. We've got no one who's got strength to run a midfield. you know, the passion, the Roy Keane.
I don't think you need a centre back, having looked at it, because okay, Michael Keane and Yerry Mina are nothing more than backups at best. But Branthwaite impressed me, and he's left-sided. Holgate's right-sided. So there's your centre-back pairing for next season. I think that's good. You got
Keane's done all right, you know.
Yeah, but he's no more than a backup, is he? He's not a player you'd want as your first choice. He's good as a backup, great, but as a first choice, you just look at him and go, yeah, you know, because he has too many games where he's just awful.
And I'd like to get Joe Kenny back as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You've got Kenny at right back and Dean at left back. I think you're all right in defence looking at it. It's just your keeper's terrible.
Keeper's midfield.
Have you still got Besic?
Yeah.
Mo Besic. No, he's gone, I think he's gone, Mo Besic.
No, he's just come. He was on loan at Sheffield United.
Wow.
Oh, right,
I don't know if when his contract runs out, like, but I'll have a look. Hang on.
Do you think Richarlison will stay, Billy?
No, I don't think. I think he'll be off. Yeah, he might give us another season, but he'll be off after that.
Does he go with your blessing, or is that a bit naughty?
I like him, you know. I think he's a very talented kid. He's misguided because all that driving around crap.
Because he wants to be like Neymar. That's the problem with him. That is it in a nutshell. That's all you need to say. You know, everything else about him is he's excellent, works hard and all that.
Yeah, he does, yeah. But I don't think his future's at Everton. If Everton don't improve and buy better players, he'll one off, and you can't blame him for that.
Does he deserve a move? That's what I'm asking you, basically. Yeah, does he
deserve a move? No. Well, it depends how you see
it. Should he give you a couple of years and then go with your blessing, or
he should give us another year and see if we are going to improve or not? Right. And then I'd say, you know, if you're not buying players who are not improving, I'd let it say, yeah, you're best off going, because he is a really good player.
He's a title. Go on, man.
No, go on.
Go on, please.
Oh, it's just.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Richarlison, he has the talent to be in a team that's winning things, right?
Yeah.
So, would it be? Really, would it be a kick in the teeth? But really, you couldn't blame him for wanting to move on, right? Even if he went in the summer. Like you said yourself, you're not challenging for top 6 in the next 3 years. So titles is like challenging for titles is 6-7 years.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, but I am a great fan of loyalty with players. If he signs a contract for 4 years, I expect the player to want to stay for 4 years. And things change, and no things change. And he is a high-profile player. So it's difficult with players like that. But you'd expect them that if the club had the goodness of their heart of give them a good contract on good money, I'd
just like to point out, I don't think it's the goodness of their heart that makes them pay them well. I just thought I'd point that out.
Okay, I'm going to be stretching it a bit.
Yeah.
I might be stretching it a bit.
I know you love your club and you're a community club, but they don't quite go that far.
Billy the romantic.
Yeah. The one I wanted to ask about, though, was Moise Keane.
Yeah, me too.
He's a bit of an enigma at the moment. I think there's a player in there.
Oh, he's undoubtedly, mate. He's got fantastic ability.
But he hasn't shown it yet. I don't know whether it's because he hasn't really been given the chance. Why he hasn't been given the chance, I don't know.
He's not happy and he wants to go. We know that much.
He probably doesn't suit... Everton doesn't suit him as a club, I think. And the country mightn't suit him.
Nah, but he's got an Italian manager now. He's got Italian backroom staff. So that could help to assimilate.
That could help. Jory's still out with him, you know.
I just think he was a strange signing because he wasn't what you needed, or you weren't what he needed either. It wasn't like... It is a strange one, yeah. I think it was just he wanted to, he needed to move anywhere away from Juve to get football, and well, Everton, he wasn't going to get
Yeah, but he was
football.
getting racially abused at Juve
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. He wanted to get. That's what I mean. He just wanted to get away, and it wasn't like it's not been thought through what's best for his career where he's gone. No,
Yeah,
I
can see that.
it just hasn't worked out. I think.
Not to now. But as you say, he's got Italians there. He's said that he's happy, but whether I think he does want to go. But even
not
what he said,
privately, he hasn't.
No, probably hasn't. No, but I'd like to see him give him more of a chance than what he has been.
Yeah, I would, because I've seen him a lot in it. A lot of footage of him in Italy, because I was going to do a profile in him, but I got distracted by doing something else. I don't think I ever actually did it. So I watched a lot of stuff on like Y-Scout, a lot of footage of him playing, because he was only doing substitute bits, but he'd come on for like 30 minutes. It was just, you just watch him and think, this lad's a real player. He's got something special about him. And it's just seems to have vanished overnight since he's moved. I don't know whether it's because he felt he had to prove something when he was at Juventus because of the racial abuse, and it lifted his game because he was trying to ram the taunts down their throats. Yeah, and maybe he's lost that bit of fire in his belly or what, but he just doesn't look half the player.
To be fair, when he's not getting the service even when he comes on, because the midfield is so poor.
Yeah.
We're not creating chances. If he was given chances, I think he'd put them away. But he's not being having chances created for him. Yeah, and that's a problem with Everton.
That's a fair point. He was getting plenty of chances at Juve, obviously, to play. So, to perform, like he was getting the ball to his feet a lot. So.
Yeah, the jury's out with him. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Moise Kean, to be honest with you.
Well, listen, you can't be getting rid of decent players, that's for sure, because that's the last thing you need.
Yeah, we need to get rid of the dross that we've got in midfield.
Yeah, I mean, you're going south if you're selling the Moise Keans of this world.
So one player, Bill, to improve your team, who would you buy? I'm not talking about like a name. I mean, what particular position would you prioritise over any other? You buy
goalkeeper.
Right.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I think it starts from there.
No,
if you've got confidence in your keeper, I think it helps the back four.
Yep.
And if you're not conceding goals, you're doing okay.
Yeah, and your midfield can play better because they've got a bit more freedom if your defence is defending well and everything. It improves the whole team, I think, when you've got a good keeper.
The heads go down when they let in a stupid goal,
Yeah.
And
case in point, Alisson Becker.
Yeah, absolutely. He made a massive difference to Liverpool.
Transformed.
Won us the title.
Yeah, I think he's. I'd love a good keeper. I'd like Oblak, but he's not coming to Everton.
Yeah. So, realistically, who would you like to see?
Who would I like to see?
Realistically, like someone who possibly...
realistically.
You probably look Nick Pope or an Onana or something like that, probably.
Pope, but is he another Jordan Pickford? A bit of a showboat?
I'm not convinced by Pope. I think he's all right, but... Yeah,
he's better than Pickford.
Yeah. Anyone's better than Pickford.
Yeah, but when you're buying another keeper, you need to buy, you want a keeper that's going to be there for the next 10 years. I mean, if you could have, the keeper you should have got for last season was Dean Henderson. Before,
but this is there's a lot of decent. That's what I said earlier. There's a lot of decent keepers, but there's not many great ones. So
I think Dean Henderson's got the potential to be great. Even the other one, if you're looking at who's a potential that could be available because he wants to be a number one, he's a number two at the moment. What about Man United's number two, Romero?
Yeah,
Well, we've been linked with him actually for the last few weeks.
I didn't know that. I don't read the papers or anything. It was just like a sudden.
Yeah, he's the one we've been linked with as a strong possibility to come in.
That was only because I talked about Dean Henderson. It came to right. Well then.
And he looks all right, Romero. He doesn't look
he's always done well for him.
I think he's better than De Gea.
The way he's playing at the moment. Well, that's why I suggested Henderson, because they're going to stick with De Gea, let's be honest. And Henderson's
Do you think
too
so?
good.
I think he might be out.
Henderson's too good to stay in the back.
Why would they stick with a $350,000 pound a week misfit? I just don't understand that.
Because
I don't get it. Just cut your losses.
Ole believes in him.
Well, they're coming. They're going to be in the second podcast, so we'll get on to that. I don't believe it, mate. Yeah, that was Billy. I mean, you need at least 3 or 4 positions being strengthened in the summer.
At least, yeah.
At least. Do you think there's money there, or?
Yeah, I think there's money. I think the FFP might come into it, but I think Machiri will put money up, and I think we will buy a couple of players. But
I don't get it.
Has to want to recruit them, and how you can integrate them that quick into making a difference.
I don't get it. We're European world champions, world champions, Premiership champions. We finished 50 points ahead of you in the league, and you got more money than us. I just don't get it.
Yeah, but we've spent big to get where we are, and we've bought and we've updated the stadium. They haven't done that yet. Their stadium still looks like it's in the 1950s. If you've ever been in there, I'm not having a dig there, Bill. That's a genuine. No, you must know it yourself. We call it Woodison in Liverpool because it looks like it's from. It is. Yeah. It hasn't been upgraded for years and stuff like that. So we've spent money to get where we are.
It just ranked. We've
got to pay these things. It's like mortgages and all that. You've got to pay them. It reduces the money you got available to you, and that's the position we're in. Whereas they haven't got any of that yet.
I get it. We've put players on long-term contracts. That costs money.
And
right?
we bought players over long-term payments. We paid them for the stadium improve. The new stands,
the training facility. I get all that, but I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. This is how I look at it, right? And I know it's not taking the facts into account, but it's like watching Man United. I grew up watching Man United winning everything, right, and just completely dominating for years and years and years, and then they spending whatever they want whenever they wanted, And I'm just thinking now it's our period of domination. We're beginning this hopeful. We can consolidate that domination by spending money, and we can't do it because I've seen Man United do it season after season after season.
They were in a different position. They were the richest club in the world when Ferguson took over. They were already rich. They had a merchandising system that was light years ahead of the rest of the Premier League, and they've always had that. So they were able to do that. We came, when FSG took over, we were still stuck in the 60s. We still had an amateur team, you know what I mean? And they've had to invest money, and they did that by putting debt on the club, and that's having to be paid, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that you rationalise it. I know what you're saying, but the thing is, Liverpool fans don't see it like that. Do you get what I'm saying?
I know, we have to answer their questions day after day after day.
What's that?
We have to answer questions about it day after day after day.
Have we jumped from 12 to 1? Because we should still be on Everton.
I know, this is what I don't understand. I thought we were about to do Southampton. I was confused.
Oh, mate, that is so funny.
He can't count. That's what it is, Bill. He can't count. Remember how much trouble he had figuring out the difference between the scores.
God, It just rankles with me that we weren't talking about Liverpool for 3 hours. But
oh God!
All right, mate. Let's finish off with Everton, Billy. What's your final? What's your post-mortem? What's your final thoughts?
I think we've had a really bad season, and I'm hoping for better next year. But it's not going to be as good as what people will want. And I think we're going to finish between. Around about 10th, I'd say. I'd say we finish around about 10th next year. I'm not expecting anything much more than that.
And if anything happens better, it'll be gravy.
It will be gravy, yeah, absolutely.
So you think, well, you got to get rid of your keeper, buy a midfielder and a striker.
More than one midfielder. And I don't know about the striker. I'd Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. I'd be happy with them, with Moise Keane maybe moving in a bit more. And I think we need to overhaul the midfield and a keeper. That's my...
All right, pal.
Right.
Southampton then?
All right, let's do Southampton. They were down and out a few weeks ago, and look at their renaissance. They finished.
It was right at the start of the season, to be fair, when they were having that. Is that when they lost? Was it 9-0 to City and that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were in trouble. But...
Was it to Leicester or?
Oh, it was Leicester, wasn't it? You're right. Don't know why I said
and they had a man sent off as well. They had a man sent off.
Yeah, but it wasn't that they were having a hopeless time anyway. It wasn't like he got sent off because they were playing so badly rather than, if I remember correctly.
But listen, the wonderful thing is that they...
It has been the Danny Ings show as well, you know.
Yeah.
To be fair, Huddles had them playing brilliant football as well.
And they stuck by him after that 9-0 defeat because there was a clamour to get rid of him. And they stuck by him. So fair play to them.
Yeah, they've done. I mean, Jack Stevens turned into a decent defender. Now they find, he's settled in. Starting to look like we expect, everyone expected when he first appeared.
And they work hard, and they play good football as well. I was very impressed with them.
I mean, you can clearly see that the team needs improvement because that's who I thought you were linked with. Is that Højbjerg, Bill? That was.
What's he like?
Yeah.
What's he like?
I quite like him personally.
Spurs won him as well, didn't they?
Yeah, that's the other team that are in for him. But I thought, whenever I've watched him, I've thought there's a real player in there at times, but he's not always. He's one of those bit hit and miss for my liking.
Yeah, I'd feel the same about him.
But if you could get him playing well consistently, he's, there's definitely the quality there to go a bit further up the table.
He's a good player.
Who's that, mate? Who's that, Billy?
Højbjerg.
Oh, yeah, the one that you and Spurs have been linked with.
Yeah.
I like that Romeo.
Yeah, he can be. He's all right.
He's got a bit of bite.
He's very skillful player.
And he's got a good tackle in him as well. He's got a bite. He's got fire.
Yeah.
Technically good as well.
But they played nice stuff as well. No, in the last half of the season. They've taken on teams, and since the break, they're playing really well.
Ings scoring goals. I mean, when you've got a player that'll score goals, that's a godsend for a team like Southampton in mid-table. That makes a huge difference. You got a goal scorer. But
if anyone deserves it, it's Danny Ings.
I really like him. You know what I mean? He works so hard. You can't feel annoyed about him succeeding because he gives everything every time.
It's a real shame of his injuries. He could have been a real potent weapon. I don't want to talk about Liverpool, Billy, but
yeah. Do you know what I think? Do you know what I think Hasenhüttl's biggest achievement is, though?
Go on.
Made Redmond look like a player.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got genuine, consistently good performances out of Nathan Redmond, and I didn't think that would ever happen.
To be honest with you, they've done really well. I've been more than impressed with them. But I think the catalyst has been Danny Ings. The way he's bounced back after such a bad injury.
Yeah. When you've got a goal scored, it makes a huge difference.
He seems a decent kid as well.
Sorry, mate?
He seems a decent fella as well, doesn't he?
Oh, he is, yeah.
And he gives us all, so you can't help but take to him, can you?
And that James Ward-Prowse as well, isn't it? It plays.
Yeah, decent. No, but I don't know. He's all right. I'm not really.
But collectively, they remind me of Leicester. There's no standard players, but they're very good. They gel as a team. They work for each other.
And they play good stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
I think the biggest difference for them is they've not needed to use Long much. And that makes a huge difference because that lad just is hopeless.
Yeah, but also when you play Long, you're playing a different style of football as well. That's not suited to them.
Do you mean you just play? You mean a headless chicken style? Because that's all he does is run around. I don't understand how he's still in the Premier League.
I think they'll do all right the next season as well. I think they'll be up there mid-table.
Yeah, and I'm glad they did stick with their manager because I like him.
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed with him when he first come, to be honest with you. But
yeah, mate, you're right.
He seemed to struggle. He seemed to struggle to get them to play the way he wanted. They'd do it in flashes, and then it'd fall. And then, like, they'd have a few games. You know, one game they'd be playing how you expected, and they'd be really good. And then the next time you watched them, you thought, oh, where did that go? They're awful. What are they? They're just all over the shop. And it seems to have taken him time to get them to sort out and understand what he wants them to do.
But they've got consistency now, haven't they? You know, they've separate. I think they've been one, if not the most better teams in the division.
Yeah, you're right.
They do need to improve this. They do need to buy some better players, though.
They've got money. They've got wealthy owners as well. The Swiss owners.
Yeah, but their owners don't want to put money in.
I mean, you go down to the
but I think they, like you say, they need to buy, so I think they will. I mean, they're not gonna.
Is whether their owners will want to sell. Because remember, their original owner was the guy who, wasn't it? Aren't they still owned partly by the family of the guy who died that bought them and saved them and built them up?
Oh, okay. I know they're Swiss. I know they're Swiss owners.
I think it's the family. I think it's still owned mostly by the son and daughter, and that, you know, the family.
The daughter, yeah, I know the daughter's has got a big major
name. I can't think of their name now. But yeah,
just Google it, mate.
Yeah, that's effort. That's what we have Billy on for. He's meant to be the brains, isn't he?
No, he's the beauty. He's the looks.
Yeah,
so we've got me and him as the looks. What do you provide then? Are you? So me and him must be beauty, and you must be the beast then.
I must be technical support.
Oh God, that explains why we struggle so badly with technical stuff.
Yeah, so mid-table again for them, or top six? We're fighting for top six.
No, not fighting for top six, but comfortably mid-table.
Yeah, they might even get top half, I think, next season.
Yeah, around the middle for me.
They've made that what a steal that was for 20 million, Danny Ings, eh?
Yeah. It turned out to be a great buy for them.
Excellent buy. And we thought we'd done well.
That's Shea Adams for 15 million.
Will someone come in for him, do you think?
I think he'll be happy. I think he's happy there, to be fair.
You got to remember, he's from the area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's back home. He's happy because he's home, and you know, he'd have to be mad. Where would he go that he's going to get the time? And remember, he's got the fitness issues with his knees. It's not the first time he had bad injury with Liverpool. You know, the time at Liverpool wasn't his first bad injury with his knee and that. So
yeah, 2 bad injuries at Liverpool.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's not even like it. He'd come to us with after having had a problem and rebuilding his career.
Oh, that's right. He had problems at Burnley as well, didn't he?
Exactly. That's what I mean. So it's not like he's, you know, that it's a one-off at Liverpool. He's had problems. This is something that's obviously going to need to be managed for his career.
Yeah. Hey, Billy, you know the next question I'm going to ask, right?
Go on.
Would you have him at Everton?
I knew that was coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Højbjerg?
Sorry.
What about Højbjerg? Would you take him? Because, you know,
I'd take him because I haven't seen much of him, to be honest with you. But he's got to be better than what we've got. So, yeah, I'd take him.
That doesn't say much at all, mate. At all.
It doesn't say much at all, but it's the truth.
Mate, I was just thinking, Danny Ings with one knee is better than Tosun with two knees, right? All right, guys. Shall we crack on with Burnley, who finished 10th?
Yeah.
Right.
Another
I think
Sean
Sean Dyche show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Do
all
you
down
not
to Sean
think
Dyche.
that was the mistake? Is not going for it, because like I thought you should have
Knew
gone
that
for him.
coming.
Obviously, that's who I thought you should have gone for. If you remember at the time when we were discussing it.
Yeah.
Do you think he would have been a better option for way short term at least to rebuild the club? Because he would have done so. He would have spent the money on the infrastructure rather than the players. And
I think he's done brilliantly at Burnley, but I think he fits Burnley. I don't know whether he fits Everton.
he's not fitting that well at the moment.
Well, he's just
No.
finished 10th with them.
Yeah, but
Without
no, I
much
don't
money.
mean that. Like I'm just saying, there's trouble behind the scenes there. That hence all the talk of him leaving, because the chairman suddenly started meddling and not getting the contracts done, and all that meant they only had half a team. Remember, at the end of the
you're
season,
right. Yeah.
and the restart and all that. So there's a good chance he could possibly leave this summer. And I just think if they let him go, they've not got a hope of staying in the league, have they? Without him.
No, he fits them, and that's why I don't think he'd be a manager that would do better at a bigger club. I think he's fine where he is, and I think he does a great job in that mid-table, keeping teams afloat.
I'd just love to see him have some money to spend to see if he'd still play the same type of football, or whether because he always says it's only because that's the players he has that he
And it's
actually
fair
can
points,
afford.
isn't it? It is a fair point.
Yeah, so I'd love to see whether he could play better football.
He's definitely a very good manager. He gets the best out of his players week in, week out, and you've got to admire him for that.
And you never see one going off the pitch and thinking, "You lazy shit, you haven't put in a shift, have you?" And not one of his players leaves the field of play without having run themselves into the ground.
He won't be allowed to with Sean Dyche, and that's why I've got more respect for him.
Yeah, I like him myself. I love his voice as well. I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Is he tactically proficient though, or has he just got one system that he does really well with?
Well, we don't know, because he hasn't got the players to do anything else, has he? This is the question. This is what I was saying. It's why I'd like to have seen him get the Everton job, so we could find out, or somebody else, maybe Newcastle, if they, if they do get bought out,
or Palace.
Yeah, but Palace would be in a similar position. They're not really a big money team, are they? They've got a small stadium, very little fan support. I know they've got the crowd is good, but I mean outside, I'm talking about like fan base is quite small. You know what I mean?
I don't. Where does he go? Where does Sean Dyche go? Right? If he doesn't listen, he ain't gonna get Liverpool, Man City.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he needed a job like Everton.
Yeah,
was the chance. And I think now he's missed out on that. I'm not sure where he can go other than Newcastle. That is the only thing I can see where it would be a definite step up in terms of the ability to spend and back him.
Maybe
look at the teams above him. No, but he's finished 10th, right, with Burnley. The teams above him, not one of them is going to give him their job. He's not going to get the manager's job at any.
That's why I was saying Everton and Newcastle are about all he can do really to go up. And even though he'd have to go down initially, I think the potential at those clubs is much higher.
Yeah.
He's in a bit of a limbo situation. He's in a catch-22 situation.
Yeah, exactly. He does need to move on, I think, if he's to prove himself as more than just a Burnley manager.
And I don't see him going to a Italy or Spain or Germany or anything.
No. He's manager in the Premiership.
Because they'll look at him and they'll say he plays long ball football there, and we're not going to have him. That's the problem he's got. Is he's got this image and he's got the voice and everything. He just doesn't come across like he'd fit in. And I actually think he'd probably do really well out there because they'd love him, the players. And I think that's his big key: is the players absolutely adore him, no matter where he's. You know what I mean? He gets the players playing for him. He's got a good. He does really well with bringing the players together and working as a team. He knows that the infrastructure of the club's the most important, so he's quite happy to say, like he did the first time they were relegated, the money, what do you want to do? There's X amount of money from the Premier League to spend if you want it, Sean. And he turned around to the chairman and said, no, I want you to upgrade the infrastructure of the club for the future. Long-term future rather than spending it on players. He still brought it
Billy,
back.
You got no chance of talking over Tristan. That's right.
Burnley, a team, a very average team who do really well because of Sean Dyche. But I don't know how he'd do with players who've got an ego, and would he be able to handle the higher players? We won't know that until he does, obviously.
Exactly. But, I agree with you.
He's a great man manager. But what he'd do with better players, I'm not so sure.
I'd like to see. That's my point. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I'd like to see him given an opportunity. Yeah.
It's a shame there isn't a chance for him.
Yeah, as I said, I think maybe a Wolves or as you say, an Everton or a Newcastle. Give him a chance. Let him have a go.
Yeah, I mean, look at Sheffield United who did. With Wilder.
There's no chance that Sheffield United get rid of Wilder.
Look at what happened when Sheffield United gave him a
chance.
Oh,
right, yeah.
Wilder a chance. He wasn't exactly a high big name or anything, and he's done miracles. And Sean Dyche at Burnley's done great work himself. And
yeah, you can't knock what he's done. You can't knock what Sean Dyche has done.
He deserves a shot. I think we all agree then.
Yeah, I think he
it's
does,
just we don't know who we're.
Yeah, that's the thing. Someone taking a chance on.
All right, guys, shall we crack on with 9th place Sheffield United?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They've really pushed them the way this year. Good luck to them. They work hard. They're a good team to watch, actually, because of the commitment they give. I don't think they're going to do great next year. I think it's going to be second season syndrome for them. But what they have got is they've got a lot of heart and play with the heart on the sleeve. They really work hard for each other. With they've got skill as well in the side, which they don't get credit for, and they play good football. And I've been very impressed with them.
Can I ask you something? Do you enjoy watching them?
Not really, no.
I love watching them.
I like watching them. Yeah, I love watching them. That's why I was asking, because a lot of people criticise the way they play, whereas I really enjoy it.
I don't mind the way they play. It's just they're not one of the. If it was Sheffield United playing Spurs or something like that, it's not a game I'd watch because they're not. The two of them are not my style of football, really. I know that you might say the polar opposites, but they're not teams who I actually like watching.
They don't play sexy football like.
No, they don't. No.
Yeah. I like
Everton.
Sorry?
Like Everton, you mean?
I hate watching Everton. I hate watching Everton.
And he's been authentic when he says that as well.
Can't watch them. I swear too much.
The only time I swear is when I'm watching the football, usually.
And I think Chris Wilder's done an incredible job. I mean, he's an appreciative manager. He's a very respectful manager. He's a class act, that guy.
How far do you think he can take them?
Well, without money, not far. I think, again, like Billy suggests, I think they'll consolidate their position next season, but I don't think they'll do as well as they have done. I think they'll stay in the Prem for sure.
So,
But
you think this is they've reached their peak under him and they're going to...
I do, yeah, very much so. And people weren't expecting them to be as good as what they have been.
Okay.
So they're a bit of an unknown quantity. Now people know them and respect them for what they have done. I think it's going to be a lot harder for them next year.
So are you talking relegation battle or just mid-table mediocrity?
No. I'm talking maybe between, I think a bit lower than that. I think between 10 and 14.
So mid-table mediocrity. Okay, yeah.
Lower mid-table, yeah. Lower mid-table.
I'm sure they'd take that in a heartbeat.
They're going to get rid of the keeper's going to go next season, so that's a massive loss for them.
I don't know. They might still be able to bring him back, because, like I said, I expect Man United to stand by De Gea. So that leaves Henderson needing to play.
I can't fathom that at all.
Unless Chelsea come in and buy him, because I can't see or Everton come in and buy him. Somebody should, because he's far too good to be loaned out. But...
Yeah, but United won't sell Dean Henderson.
It depends on if he's wanting to go. They might have to. You know what I mean? Because what's the point in keeping him if he's unhappy and he's not going to play?
But they'll have an eye on Henderson replacing De Gea within the first 6 months in January possibly.
I don't think so. I think they're going to stand by De Gea.
I don't think they will. I think he's made too many mistakes this year to keep hold.
I would agree with you. In my opinion, they should have done it last season. I said I think Henderson proved himself and should have been the first choice this season. For this season, but they didn't, and I think that's because they're going to stick, and they're going to do the same again. I think they're sticking with De Gea.
I don't think they will this year, Tris. I think they're going to. I think they're going to bite the bullet and say, listen, we've given him his chance. He was good. We hoped he'd come good. He hasn't, so we're going to replace him. And I think Henderson's going to be first choice there.
It's a shame to see that with De Gea, because he was such a player.
But the problem is, he's just signed a Sorry, guys. He's just signed a $350,000 a week contract.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Who's going to buy him? What are they going to do with him?
Exactly. It's going to be so hard for him to be gone. I mean, nobody can afford him now. Literally, yeah. Paris Saint-Germain maybe, and City.
They're not going to stick him on the bench to play Dean Henderson when they're paying £350,000 a week. They'll stand by him.
But how many chances do you give your keeper when he's not producing and he's letting in really bad goals?
But the problem is they'll send Henderson back out on loan or sell him. And so they won't have any choice but to stand by him unless Romero comes in.
Well, I think Romero will go to Everton, but I could be wrong there. But I think they've got to do something about the keeper situation. He's become a liability to Manchester United. Yeah. And if they've got to keep it there, it's going to be England's number one.
He's no Kepa, but he's not far behind.
Yeah, he's not as bad as Pickford or Kepa, is he? Let's be honest. I think they're what you call liabilities. I think he's just not as good, not...
I think he's going down.
Tristan, you think he's got the ability to shrug himself off?
No, I think he's finished. I think he's one of those players. He relied on fast reactions. It was all about being quick across the ground and, being able to get to things, agility. Everything was about speed with him, just sticking a foot out and being able to get to something that nobody else could. Things like that. And I think when you get to in your 30s, that just goes. At some point, you just slow down. And once you slow down, you're not going to get quicker again. You know what I mean? You just get slower, gradually.
He's one of them keepers who stays more with his feet than what he does with his hands.
And I think he's lost his...
That's the slippery slope.
I think he knows he's slowed down and he's lost it. You know what I mean? It's affected his confidence.
But why give him a £350,000 a week contract then?
Because they want to sell him, probably.
But nobody's going to buy him at that much. You can't afford his mortgages.
Yeah, but we're saying that. but they obviously didn't see it the same way. That's what I'm saying is they didn't see it the same way. They thought he could return to the form he showed a couple of years ago.
That's right.
That's what they were looking at. They weren't looking at what type of keeper he was and saying, once it goes, with the kind of keeper he is, he's not a clever keeper. He wasn't a like Neville Southall, where it was all about being position right, being in the way of shots rather than diving into the way of shots, if you see what I mean. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, it wasn't about quick reactions with Neville Southall. He was just there, always in the right place, weren't he? You know what I mean? It was like he was magic rather than... It wasn't about... He was agile, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't about being quick.
Guys, sorry to be a party pooper, but we're talking about Sheffield United.
Yeah, you're all right.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we got carried away. So anyway, back to them.
They're probably swearing at us.
Yeah, what do you think of Sander Bird?
Brilliant player. Yeah, I think he's going to have a high ceiling. Love him.
Okay.
I think he's going to have a really high ceiling. I think it's just his first season in the Premiership. Give him another. Next year, you'll see the best of him. Really like him.
Really, I'm not that impressed. I think he's all right, but I just don't.
What do you think? He's slow. He's a turning. He's turning circle.
He's cumbersome. I just don't see him as a. I think he's one of those players where playing the midfield the way they play it, I don't think he's suited. I think he's either suited to a holding role, sitting in front, just about, and even then he's a bit cumbersome and not the best positionally. For me, at his best, he's a centre back. He's a future centre back for me. He's tall. He's good enough on the ball to be a ball playing centre back. Decent reading of the game and that. He can tackle. He's strong.
He gets into some very good goal scoring opportunities as well.
But how many goals does he score?
Yeah, not many.
He's not. He's just not an attacker. He's
not.
not.
He's not a midfielder. Yeah.
I don't want him in. I personally, if it's me, I'd want him as far away from the goal. He can play the pass, but so can Virgil van Dijk. Doesn't mean I want him in front of goal when the chance comes. You know what I mean? You want him where he can play the passes. I want him in deeper, and I'd want him either holding role or in centre back. And I think long term his future is as a centre back. I don't think he's a good midfielder, that good a midfielder personally.
I like him. I'll be honest with you.
I like him a lot. Yeah. I think he'll become a holding midfielder.
Yeah,
I can see that, but I still think he'd be better in centre back. I think he's one of those players where he needs to be further back rather than further forward.
Fair enough, mate. I tell you what, the player I'm impressed with in that team is Fleck. I really like him.
Yeah, he's a good player. But the player for me, I would say it'd be the right back, Bulldog.
Yeah, he's
27 years old, and he's never shown sign. He's never been at this level. He was at MK Dons, wasn't he, before? And that.
Yeah,
never shown, what a player he's proven to be.
Bulldog.
Bulldog.
I think he's been really good. I like Billy Sharp anyway. I always rated him. But
do you think McBurney is another Pucky?
Yeah, I don't.
He's scored goals for them, hasn't he? You know what I mean?
He's done all right, but he's not.
Well, he's not someone who's going to go anywhere else, is he? Really?
He's not someone you'd worry about and say you need to watch him, lads. Give him a sniff and he'll score. Yeah. He's not someone you'd worry about marking out a game, is he? You don't change your system to cope with him. He'll just put in a shift and that's it. He's not.
He does put in a shift. He works hard, but I don't think he's got the quality, has he? Really?
Their team. Let's be honest. It's built on the centre backs. I like O'Connell and Egan.
And the tactics. It's built on their tactics.
Yeah, they're really good. But I think you could see the difference in the restart when he couldn't put out his back three.
Yeah.
They struggled.
They need to spend, for sure.
Have they got the money to spend them? I don't think they have got the money to spend.
Well, I don't know. Aren't they owned by a Saudi prince?
Isn't that Forest?
I don't know.
No, Forest no longer owned by a Saudi prince. They were. No,
I don't know how much he
Don't
actually
you remember
puts
they
in.
just went through the court battle and he now owns it all?
Oh yeah, yes, there's two owners and they had a falling out, didn't they?
Yeah, and what the Saudi prince won, didn't he, in court? They've got. That Ben Osborne, I like him. They've got as well.
Yeah, yeah.
He can play left back, left midfield, left wing. Ben Osborne, Forest player.
Oh, that Mousse as well. I like him.
Yeah, he's got pace, but he just seems a bit inconsistent. He's one of those. One game he'll be absolutely unplayable, and the next one he'll be an absolute donkey.
Yeah. But the player for me is that Fleck. I really like him. Really like him.
Yeah.
Is he Fleck's son or not? He's not related.
I don't actually know off the top of my head. I quite like Norwood as well.
Oliver Norwood.
Yeah, I always thought he should have got a chance sooner.
And
he's the nephew of Robert Fleck. He's Robert Fleck's nephew, just checked.
Oh, is he?
Oh, gotcha.
I knew he wasn't a son, but I didn't. I just wanted to check whether he was related. Yeah, he's his nephew. Yeah, that Norwood,
gotcha.
He's had a few times he's got promoted. He was with Brighton when they got promoted, and I think he's had 3 promotions before this one. You know, one in the team that won promotion, then got sold in the summer to another Championship team. So when he won promotion with Sheffield United, he must have thought, "Oh, here we go again. Pack your bags." Like, he probably went home to the missus and said, "We've won promotion. We better start packing."
But they were everyone's favourite to go down, weren't they, at the start of the season? So they've surprised a lot of people.
I think everyone's been surprised by how well they've done other than Chris Wilder.
Yeah.
Hey,
He's got to have the credit, hasn't he, Wilder?
And I bet even he was surprised at how well they'd done.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
I bet if you'd have said to him before the season kicked off, you'll avoid. You can take 18th now. Avoid relegation. Was it 18th? No, 17th, whatever it is. Avoid relegation now. Do you want that? He'd say, yeah, straight away. Snaps your hand off for it.
I fear for them a bit next season, though, I must be honest. I don't think they've got the quality of player to... I think they were a surprise package this year and shocked people. But
do you think people are working
on keep it up?
Hey guys, talking about promotion relegation, Brentford are 3-0 up against Swansea in the Championship playoff. Yeah.
Good. I want Brentford to come up.
Oh,
yeah, I love Brentford. Huh?
Why? Why
Brentford? I used to live in Brentford.
I like the style of play.
We've got enough London clubs, though. That's how I look on it. It's like... But just nice I'm not mad keen on Swansea, to be honest, though, thinking about it. But it's... Yeah, just like we've got...
You're very regionalist. You're very regionalist.
No, I just think there's enough London... There's already 5 or 6 London clubs. It's, you don't need many... how many do you need? It'd be nice to spread it around the country a bit. I mean, it's bad enough that we have to go there for all the, all the semi-finals and that nowadays. It's not fair on the rest of the country, like.
The only time you go out is when you go to the bathroom, mate. So what do you mean all this?
Yeah, when I was in the when I did go to games, you know what I mean. It was quite annoying.
You get paid to watch football.
Yeah, well, you're just jealous.
Well, yeah.
What's your problem?
I'm being transparent about it.
Yeah. I don't want to go anywhere. Why would I want to leave home? I've got all the football here. Why would I want to go anywhere?
Exactly. Brentford is a very nice town.
Yeah, I've got nothing against Brentford as in that. It's just, I'd rather it was somebody different than another London club. You know what I mean? Though I'm not that keen on Swansea, to be honest. It's just but I've got Ian Brewster, so...
Well, I think it's going to be a London club that goes up for sure, because I think Fulham will be...
yeah, because they got out, didn't they?
So it'll be Brentford versus Fulham in the final.
Two nicey clubs then.
Sure. Yeah, two nicey clubs, yeah.
Yeah, there's worse things that could happen than either one of those two coming out. It's a bit... Yeah.
Doesn't
excite you, you know what I mean?
Doesn't do it for you in your loins.
No, it doesn't get me excited. It doesn't get me off. Get semi or anything. No.
That's what I'm saying. The only thing that does nowadays is that
Football.
Hendo dance when that jig when he lifts the trophy.
Oh
before
yeah.
he lifts the trophy.
But that's
That gets
regular
you going,
enough.
doesn't it?
Yeah. I do watch that 5 times a night, mate.
Yeah, that's all you do is
Yeah,
watch.
oh, right, yeah. It's on a loop in the corner of the screen now.
We're going to get told off by Billy in a minute for talking Liverpool.
Yeah.
So
He loves you, really.
should we cease there and just carry on?
From Arsenal next time, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay, so we'll call it a halt there. Do you want to end it, kill it, finish it off then?
You kill it. You're better at that than I am.
Well, I tend to kill every conversation, don't I?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'll just tell a joke. That'll end it.
I'll tell you what, Tristan, just pretend it's a woman. That'll kill it instantaneously.
I'll use one of my chat up lines. That'll kill it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'd just like to point out, as it's me birthday. Oh no, well it was me birthday. It's 22 minutes gone past now. But it was me birthday, so you lot should have been nice to me. So we'll just end it there on it. You two can sing me happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh God, no! I'm stopping it now.